Shirt show. All right, let's go.
Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Shirt, man! All right! Episode 63 of Shirt Show. We're talking with Cole and Cam from the Pentool Pals podcast. Let's go!
What'd I do wrong? What's with the birds?
I don't know. I just wanted to hit you with it as soon as I came on.
Felt good.
So what's up?
Oh, are we recording? Check. Hold on.
Check. Oh, yeah. I like that white tea. I wish it was wet.
I knew absolutely that you were going to say this is white, and it's not.
What is it? Fucking oatmeal or some shit?
I don't know, but it's not white.
So tell me about Florida.
Yeah, Florida was good. I was a beach bum, and it felt really good to slow it all down. You know what I'm saying? Just to slow it down.
All right. Fully get it.
Yeah. You actually slowed down a little bit too. Not quite as long.
No, one day.
One day.
And 1.5 days.
It was a special day. What kind of day was it?
It was my anniversary.
Not your work anniversary. Not our anniversary. Very, very important anniversary.
It was the anniversary of...
Better get this right. Don't fuck this up.
It was just another day.
Okay. What do you think about all these supply issues, dude? What is up with that? I spent last week on vacation a couple of days tracking down some stuff, and then here and there today because wow, this is crazy, right? Allocation.
What are you finding that you're not getting?
Everything. You were telling
me emulsion, but
no, I found it. But there's a whiting titanium situation. So by the time this comes out, nobody's it's over.
I feel like it's all bullshit. It's just them trying to get like a fire sale on stuff. Because they said shit was like buy red ink and buy white ink last time, and I never saw any shortage of any kind.
Isn't it true that the moment you say that there's an allocation, that's when everybody panics? And
right, that's what I'm saying. Everybody panic buys.
Mm-hmm. It makes it worse.
And they're like, yes. And then they get a bunch of money. And then like in 3 months, they'll be like, oh, did you know every color we have is, it's super rare right now. Mm-hmm. They're taking advantage of the situation.
What is this sound? Are you ready? Don't look. Close your eyes.
You showed it to me 3 seconds ago.
You didn't see that. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Ready? Play along. You hear that? You know what that is?
Yeah. No. What is it?
That was a stapler. And you know whose stapler that was?
Soft Handy.
That's right. And you know who wrote that on there? Joanne did. You know why she wrote that on there? Because when I got back from vacation.
Because you got soft hands.
Well, that's true. Well, that's also true. But when I got back from vacation, we hold hands. Yeah. Is that weird? Yeah.
That's not what I was going for, but all right.
Oh. Can I tell you what happened already?
Yes. Continue.
I got back from vacation and somebody took my stapler.
Bastards.
In a movie. That's in a movie. And it happened in real life. And I asked everyone, I was like, hey, weird. My stapler's gone. Has anybody seen it? And they all said no.
Chad. I bet it was Chad. Chad took it.
Until somebody said, oh, wait. And then they found it. And it was not in my office. It
was in the bathroom?
Because they used it. And it was mixed in with some other staplers. And so I wasn't sure it was even mine. But now I know. Now I'm going to know. Right.
You have that soft handy on there.
Hell yeah. Sometimes that's what you got to do.
Hell yeah.
Claim it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Our drive back going through Alabama, this billboard that said, I want to say it was like Young's Pharmacy. And it said drugs, guns. And what do you think the third thing the pharmacy sells?
God.
Starts with a G. You're close.
Grenades.
You know what Dylan said? He said grenades. No, gifts. Gifts, silly. That's what okay. If you go to a pharmacy,
That's a gift.
you want drugs, you want guns, and you want gifts. How perfect is that? Like that is a business.
What fucking pharmacy has guns?
Apparently the
One in Alabama.
That's right. That's right. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful drive. It's
I need some of those.
Why is my mic? Give me 1 second. Something's going on here, man. You hear a little bit of breakup? Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's saying. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Does it say
Can you
something
see me?
weird? Yeah.
I think it just had a low connection.
Yeah. Well, I think it's okay now.
Yeah, seems fine.
So let's hope so.
Side note, I might have to send a quick email or duck out for a second during this, but we'll see how it goes.
Because you're busy.
Well, we got a massive order from John Mulaney this morning, and I need to get the blanks ordered today, I guess, but I'm waiting for them to send a wire transfer. So once they send the transfer, I have to email SNS to say, go ahead and ship it.
So you got an order for like 10 shirts or something?
Yeah.
Like that? Cool.
Yeah. It's like 6,000 shirts that they need to be done by Thursday.
This Thursday?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you have automatic presses for a reason.
Mm-hmm. We'll get it done.
Yeah.
I'm just debating on how to get it to Boston. Like, do I get a courier or do I just run a U-Haul and drive it myself?
When does it have to be in Boston?
Friday. It's a 5-hour drive. I could either pay a courier service to take like 5 pallets, or I just run a U-Haul and take a day trip and go to Boston and drive back, which I'm not opposed to.
Are you asking me what I would do?
Yeah, what would you do?
Advice? What would Andy do?
Not really, but I mean, I'll take your advice.
You know, people aren't that inclined to give advice when you say not really, but I'll take, I'll listen to what you want to say.
I'm just saying I'm down for a road trip if that's what it comes to. But
Sure. Well, what I would do is I'd get a courier.
I've just honestly only done that like once. And I would need a courier that has is a truck, it's going to be like 5 or 6 skids. Well,
okay. So, a truck.
I need a trucking company to deliver it same day.
Right. Sure. Well, not same day. You said you said Thursday.
Yeah. They're going to pick it up at like 6 o'clock on Thursday and deliver it on Friday.
Why 6 o'clock?
Well, end of business day.
You're making it more complicated all of a sudden. And so then I see your point. You're saying that if it doesn't finish at the normal pickup time,
I want to have a full work day. I want to have a full work day of printing them. And then, like I said, if I drove them, I would just come Friday morning with the truck, load the truck, drive 5 hours, drop them off, drive back. That's what I want. I want somebody to just drive them Friday.
I mean, if you do what you got to do to get that order, that's a good order. And so, yeah, if that's what you have to do, but I think there's probably somebody that would drive that for you for much less. Somebody's headphones has a bad connection or mic. Is it me or you? Do you hear that breaking up sometimes right there? Well,
you're good now, but every so often it does that like catch up thing.
Okay. Well, hey, so I've got a joke from Nate at Hanson Screen Printing, and he's the one who actually kicked off this whole dad joke thing.
Yeah.
And so I thought I'd shout him out because he texted this. He didn't text the punchline though, so I Googled it and found it. It may be the wrong punchline or not the punchline he knows, but are you paying attention?
I'm listening. My dad sent me a joke and I was reading it.
Really? Because you do that a lot. Like I'm telling you something from my heart and you look down.
Oh, really? Because when I say something from my heart, you get up and walk away.
Well, that's not as rude as just looking down at your phone. Like you got nothing. Like you're there.
Sorry, I'll do this.
But then you just look at your phone.
Go ahead, continue.
I'm glad that most people listen to this and don't have to watch you because they'd be appalled by your behavior. Honestly, they really would. So here's the joke. Are you ready?
Yes.
What do you call a pony with a
With an air leak?
I botched that on purpose because I botch every joke.
Mm-hmm.
But not this time.
What do you call a pony with a what?
Sore throat.
I don't know.
A little horse. A little horse.
Okay.
It's good.
I love it. Is this good? Yeah.
That one was.
I'm going to hold on. I'm going to look down at my phone real quick so that I can find one.
Okay.
That I have saved on my phone. Okay. Don't be offended. I know it's 2021 and all. Who's the genius that decided to call it emotional baggage and not grief case? Thought that one was good.
Wait, so that's not a... You're supposed to ask me the question and then I'm supposed to say, I don't know. And then there's a punchline.
It was kind of like it wasn't a question. I have written a book on how to fall down the stairs. It's a step-by-step guide.
All right, we should end it there.
I got one more.
Okay, better be better than that last one.
You gave me fucking kiddie pool last week, so calm down.
Yeah, but you couldn't stop laughing at that one. You know that was a good one. That was a good one.
What do you call a nervous javelin thrower?
God, I wish I could think of something, but I don't know, man. I don't know.
Shakespeare.
That's pretty good.
Okay.
Too bad Zoom's fucking up today on us. Gosh, I did it again just there. Did you hear that?
Hopefully it's good because we're going to have 2 people on.
Well, Easy Way. Easy Way is a line of eco-friendly chemicals. Will get the job done faster, more efficiently, and will cost you a fraction of the cost per
screen.
Easy Way.
It's the easiest way.
We could just use that same for everything from now on. Because we did
You're
that.
just going to play it with your thing?
Like we nailed it. Mm-hmm. I don't know if we could have done that more perfect, and we should just use that for the next 25 years as we do this podcast for 25 more years. But, actually, I really like saying it, and I like hearing you. Like, I like the team effort. I like the collaboration. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's fun. So we shouldn't do that. We should.
Right. I like to look into your eyes when you're saying it.
Right. It's real. Mm-hmm. This isn't a like recorded.
I mean, it is.
Take 2, take 3, make it perfect type of thing. No, this is just. This is how it works.
Mm-hmm. We're going to actually do it this time.
Yeah. I can't believe we forgot that. Seriously. Of all things too. And I talked to him this week.
Really?
Really. Pretty neat, right?
That's pretty cool. Oh, slide it out. I'll just narrate it. Oh yeah. Oh, my Colin's calling me.
Dude.
Go ahead. No, you're good. Go ahead.
Don't fuck this up. We're gonna do this right this time.
Yeah. Bring it. Get it in the air. Okay.
We got a bad connection.
Is it working or is this super?
I heard you, but you were just it's not so hot. Mm-hmm. It's secure. All right. If you don't know what that F stands for and who Frank is, that's all about screens, and it's all about GSF, and that stands for graphic screen fashion. Now, was that a delay, or are you just like looking at your phone too much?
No, I said fashion.
Yeah, you did. It was like 30 seconds later.
30 seconds. Yeah. You sat there for half a minute waiting for me.
Right. Well, graphic screen fashion, he stretches screens, he restretches screens, and he's a really nice guy. I just got some Chromaline emulsion from him. Just came today, as a matter of fact. And so if you...
I love a guy.
If you need emulsion, he also has that. So give Frank a call. And if you mention Shirt Show, you get 5% off your first order. Bam. Ready? Monarch.
All right, go ahead.
Guess what I ordered today?
Monarch.
A drum of Monarch Yeti.
Nice.
Yeti. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know, Yeti is a white ink.
Are you using the Yeti? What is it? Not the QLT2, but the Yeti instead of Stark?
ULT2 is for our
Poly.
Yeti is just for everyday low bead. Everyday low bead. Yeah. If you need your beads low, you need to look at Yeti. But they also have a high opacity mixing system that gets the colors you need.
Perfect.
Ink better, print better, be better.
Live Moss.
Monarch. And they sell guns too. You see that? Yep. So if their new slogan is going to be ink, guns, gifts.
Monarch.
They don't know this yet, but they're going to have to get a gun sales license or whatever that is. Action. Just say engineering. That's so sexy, that word.
Engineering.
Yeah.
I need that movie guy voice.
You got to say
Action,
it like
engineering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's hard.
Right.
I like that. That's what she said. Well, they make screen printing accessories. The best ones, right. So like if you were, hey, let's say you left your palette under a flash and you melted the rubber.
The shit out of it.
Yeah. Don't do that. But if you did, they make a peel and stick palette rubber. So much easier than it used to be. Of course, you used to have to buy the rubber, used to buy cement, do the whole thing.
That sucks. I've done that. It's awful.
Yeah, it's awful. You don't have to do that anymore. Did you know that if you go to actioneering.com and you enter in Shirt Show, you get 15% off?
15% off. It's hell of a deal.
Mm-hmm. It's good.
Truly. Yeah.
Hey, should we restart this motherfucker?
Let's do it.
All right. I'm signing.
Save this video. Start the same one again, and I'll just hop into the same link.
What's that?
Stop the recording and save the video and start the same room up again, and I'll just click my same link to jump back in.
Okay, good plan. I like it.
All right. Okay.
Guess what I did? I installed an update.
Nice.
Yeah. Did a little IT.
Maybe it just needed an update.
Maybe it needed an update. You know how we talked about last week, how sometimes you just need to turn it off and turn it back on.
Yeah.
And so we just did it. We did what we were supposed to do, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, we did a little IT over here, some software stuff. All right. Well, today's show, we have a couple of designers. One of them, his name is Cole Friedman, and the other one is Cam Werner. And they're with Pentool Pals. It's a rad pod.
It's a rab podcast.
I hope I said that. Because everybody will know what that means.
Right.
All right. Look, I don't have a lot of oxygen in my brain right now. This day has been rough. We went down to the trainer and we trained. And I told him, I said, look, we got to knock it off. Enough. And he kept us going.
Knock it off.
I couldn't breathe. So yeah, Cole Friedman and Cam Werner from Pentool Pals. It's a really rad podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And we should start talking to him. You ready?
Yeah. Bring them on in. And then Zoom's going to explode.
It might work.
Hey, there's one.
Yeah, we have
What's
one.
up?
What's happening?
I'd like to say I'm the better half, but Cam would probably think different.
We'll just keep your reaction. We don't.
All right, no worries. You already said we're live, huh? We're recording, aren't we?
Yeah.
Well, it's good to meet you guys. I'm Cole.
Hey, man, what's going on?
Cole,
thanks so much for having me on.
I don't know what's going on because normally I'm used to like you being cut out with a special background.
Yep, we did this specifically for you guys. Cam's currently rearranging his studio as well. So
it looks like a little bit of a dispensary you got going on there behind you.
Yeah, this is all natural.
It's like bamboo or something.
This is actually plastic.
Or plastic.
Yeah. But
like
Cam just shot me a text saying everything imaginable is going wrong right now.
Dude, we're having the same problem. We had to restart this because it was like choppy.
Yep, there it goes again.
He's gone now. We're fine.
Yeah, well, this happens every once in a while, and the internet is a complicated thing.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. There's lots of...
Who even knows what the internet is, really?
I think one guy does.
But yeah, how's everything with you guys?
It's Tuesday, and I didn't work yesterday, so I'm trying to play catch up, and then I'm doing a podcast for you guys. So that's all good.
Yeah.
Are you normally are just working from home and in your office?
Yeah, this is literally my room. So if you can cut this out, but this is
that's the good stuff. We're leaving that in.
Yeah, no, I work from home, so this is typical for me, but I usually have my desk over in that corner. And so this seemed a little bit like cooler to be on.
I like
the
it.
Podcast.
I like me too. Good background, man.
Is that why you guys do the cutout thing?
Yeah, that was kind of like a cheat. So that way we don't have to worry about what's behind us. But it also seemed like it was going to be some sort of like consistency with the show or whatnot. But Cam's always wanted to have like a real like studio setup similar to like what you guys have or what this kind of looks like. So we've yet to have true conversations on the development of some sort of like better background scenario.
Well, usually what it is for us is that Dylan does something and then I try to one up him. And so he'll get like,
obviously I'm winning.
I like your guys' setups and you guys sound like butter with the mics. We've yet to evolve into a better
just using AirPods.
I even stopped using the AirPods because they end like right as we're about to end. It's like it always seems like they have the magic shut off timing.
Yeah, I'll cheat and I'll take one out and let it charge and then put it in and put the other one in to charge. Like
that's a good idea.
Maybe an hour and a half-ish in or something like that, 2 hours.
Yeah, that's like a pro tip.
Yeah, I never even noticed that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dylan sent me some really good headphones, but I cherish them. And so,
no. So I told him, because he's always like, oh, I don't see your headphones. I'm like, yeah, because they're black. Like they go with my shirt. He's like, oh, I want some of those. And I sent them to him. And then he realized they were like cheap knockoff headphones that totally work fine, but they're not AirPods or Apple brand. And he was like, I'm not using that garbage. Get it out of here.
Yeah.
Did you bicker like brothers?
We sort of are.
Brothers.
Yeah, we sort of are.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely.
So how did you guys originally meet?
Instagram, probably, right?
He was trying to figure out how to screen print, and he called me one day, and I told him. I went ahead and told him. I felt, pretty bad.
Yeah.
So, I felt bad for him. So, yeah, that's how we met.
Well, that's why I'm such a shitty printer now. Is because I learned from you.
That's a good love story, honestly.
No, I think realistically it was just Instagram, like most people. And then we got real close as far as sharing with each other, like stuff with the shop. And then it got to where we weren't just talking on Instagram. We were calling each other regularly.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
it sounds like a similar bromance of me and Cam.
Yeah. Do you guys kind of just like work off of each other and help each other out with like shit that comes up?
I think that me and Cam's design aesthetic are like actually kind of different in our own like unique ways. So it's good to get our own perspectives on like each other's work, but we'll send work back and forth and we'll chat daily. I mean, now Pentool Pals is kind of taking up more time that we had like initially kind of thought. So
yeah,
we chat every day now, and there's always something new happening, and we'll share work, whatever it may be.
Well, the funny thing is me and Andy used to talk all the time. And then we started doing the podcast, and it got to the point where we would call each other and we would probably talk for like 2 hours or something about something. And I would be like, and at the end of that, we were always like, damn, that would have made a really good podcast of us just talking about what we were talking about. And then we came to an agreement that we were just like, we can't talk to each other. Like, stop calling me in the week so that we can, like, when we talk on Sunday, it's like a legit conversation of like, how was your week? What happened? Like, we still text each other during the week about stuff, but like actual conversations about like life and work, we try to save for Sunday usually so that we can do it
live
for real. Yeah. I want to know what's going on with him. I want to be like, fake it and then like act weird in front of a guest.
Yeah. We once forgot to hit record and then realized that we had forgot that. And so we hit record and then we tried to redo like what we had just talked about, tried to fake it.
It was awful.
It was so weird.
It's like, I think people also watching can always tell. And that's something that me and Cam have always tried to avoid as well. But I feel like we have a similar relation, like just talking to you guys for however long this has been, me and Cam have a similar relationship. Like, he's a talker. He's way more of a talker than I am. And I always thought that was the best part about teaming up with him, because I knew that people would hopefully gravitate towards his sort of personality, and I could kind of ride that wave with him, you know?
Well, you know that if you have nothing to talk about, he's going to take over.
Yeah. He's a good partner in that.
Yeah. And plus sense. Dylan, I'm like the setup guy. Like, I set him up with all the jokes, you know, and I just leave it hanging out there.
He does not do that intentionally. It's just his personality.
Oh, it's intentional. Like, I'm back here saying, I know what I could say that would be like a really good zinger for Dylan. And so I set it all up. Yeah, so I set it all up. So he's the funny guy. You're welcome.
You're the magic behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's what it is.
You're the fluff guy.
Yep. If anything, Andy's the fluffer for sure.
Yeah.
Proud of it. Really
he
proud of
that. He set that one
up. See? There you go. Perfect example.
Uh-huh. So is he all right or what?
Yeah, he texted me saying I abandoned my setup. It sounds
We're just going to do the Cole show now. Which I'm
it could be called Pentool Pal. Just Pentool Pal.
Singular pal.
Yeah. We'll just take the S off.
I feel like Cam always has some sort of like technical problem.
How many episodes are you guys into right now?
We just did 20. That was 21, I think, last week. And that's like actual weeks too. So we've technically been doing it for like 22 weeks.
Yeah. Same with us.
And then we probably did a prep of just like figuring out how we wanted the show to go and what we wanted in the show and name and how we're going to set up the Instagram. That probably took about like a month, but it was pretty funny. Like how we started, talking to each other. It seemed pretty natural that like, it was almost like a Step Brothers moment where it was like, do you want to be best friends? Like,
do we just become best friends?
Yeah, exactly. You want to start a podcast? And then he's like, dude, and just weird. Cause like, you don't know if you're like overstepping too. You're like, am I that weird guy that's going to ask you that we don't really know each other that well. Like if we want to start a podcast, but we instantly back and forth. We're like, yeah, but that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. It's weird because it's a commitment for sure. Like, yeah, we get on here once a week and talk, but it's like realistically now it's like every Sunday, like my routine is get here at like 3:00, get ready, get on with Andy at 4:30. And then we bullshit for like a half hour. And then we talk to a guest for like 3 hours. Mm-hmm. So, it's like 4 or 5 hours of every Sunday. That's just like, this is what I'm doing on Sunday. Like, these are my plans.
And if somebody is gone or we're traveling or whatever, then it's not on a
Tuesday
Sunday
or Wednesday.
Yeah. Right.
So like right now, like Andy was on vacation and I was gone on Sunday. So we were like, oh, let's just do it on a weekday. Which is rough.
How does it typically work? on you guys day to day? Are you guys actually doing the screen printing yourself, or are you managing?
I'm managing. I mean, we're both owners, but like I'm mostly in the office. I'll pop out to like help or do whatever, but like my main focus is like the marketing and just growing the company and stuff from the office. Andy's more all over the place, I feel like, in the shop.
Yeah, he forgot to include YouTube, watches YouTube, and
it's research.
Research
And development.
But I suppose I'm sort of a lot like you, Dylan. I don't do much of the printing, but sometimes I get out there. It depends who is here and who isn't. But lately, it seems like we're doing pretty good. We're kind of through the vacation time, like the vacation season, and so we're full team. Plus, we just added a few. Like I know Dylan and I have talked about how 3 doors closed here and no doors opened. But we had a door open, what was it, a week ago, I think it was. And then I had a door open yesterday, none closed. So we got good things happening. I got another door opening next Monday. And so, yeah, that's really good because it's
so you haven't lost the guy from last week yet?
No, he's here and he's still positive. Contrary to what Mr. Negative over there thought might happen. No, he's still here.
I don't have as much turnover as you.
Cam says the link's not working for him and is asking for the meeting ID.
Okay.
Who does the editing for the episodes?
Luckily, neither of us.
Smart guys. See,
that was something I want to bring up with both of you. Is like talk more about the podcast life. So I want to see when Cam gets in here what that's like.
I just apologized to Chad last week, I think, or no, the week before I left on vacation. I said, first of all, sorry, just sorry. He knew what I was talking about.
I mean, I was pretty clear up front with Cam too. I was like, I'm not good at editing. I don't have like really the time to edit the videos. Like if you want to, start a podcast, I would have to like lean in.
Cole, you were cutting out for a second.
Mm-hmm.
No worries. I'm going to FaceTime him.
We'll just do him on your FaceTime on your phone the entire time.
Like this?
Yeah.
What's up, dude?
Hey, they can't see you in the waiting room.
Yeah, it says connecting. So.
I like he has a good background too.
We're just going to do it like this, bud.
Yeah, hi, guys. I'm trying.
It's all right. We're having technical difficulties as well.
Yeah, I clicked on the link and it just said connecting the whole time. So.
All right, let's just end the recording.
They're gonna restart it, and then they're gonna send you the link.
Tell them I'm sorry.
They can hear you.
Should he?
It's not him.
Guys.
Wait, I see him. I think he's there.
Oh shit! And he's sideways.
All right. Hi.
Hey, can you turn your?
I think we should do it like this. I kind of like it.
I do have it like that, but let's see.
There it is.
There it is. Cool.
We did it.
I think it just had to adjust. Hi guys, I'm so sorry.
Hey. It's all right.
All right. Yeah, because I had a nightmare to get here because right before 11, me and Cole decided to change our setups, and that had me destroying all of this. And then when I realized that I was too far gone and my camera stopped working on my computer because I had changed so much, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to do this from my phone. And here we are.
Well, Dylan and I were chilling. We were cool with it, but Cole was pretty upset.
Yeah,
but
I know. He was like, I'm fucking quitting.
And now he's frozen, so we can't tell what his
Oh, fantastic.
They were calling us the Pentool Pals show.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because you were out. Yeah, but
oh yeah.
I wouldn't let them, Cam. I wouldn't let them.
Oh, you're a saint. Hey, so we're recording right now, and because I heard recording in progress, I busted out my Wayne's World hat for the occasion.
Oh, thank you.
Even though it is,
hey, we all have hats on.
We all have hats on. I mean, that's the thing. Me and Cole, we primarily always wear hats as well. And then when we don't wear hats, it's usually when we get a haircut.
The one time, like a year.
I had that discussion with somebody not that long ago, and they were asking me about my hair because like when I was a teenager in the early 20s, I had long hair or longer hair. And they're like, "Oh, why do you have that now?" I'm like, "Because I wear a hat all day, I literally only take it off when I go to bed." And I was like, literally my hairstyle is dictated on the fact that I wear a hat.
Nice.
Like if I'm wearing a hat, why do I even bother having hair? So I just buzz it off and then I just put my hat on. So it works out well.
I hurt my friend's feelings a while back because I didn't know him for a very long time. But I was like, Darren, you wear a hat. Oh, I just dropped his name. But I was like, dude, you wear a hat all the time. Are you bald? And he went, yeah. And he was like bald. And I had no idea. And it really hurt his feelings, but whatever.
Yeah, no, I just wear a hat because I I feel naked without it. Like it's funny if I ever go somewhere or do something without a hat, which is usually like on the motorcycle because I have nowhere to put it. I'll do that like because I have like a weird tick or a habit of like doing this, even though I don't need to, just like picking it up and adjusting it. So if I'm with no hat, I'll be in public and I'll do this. Like I'll like reach for it and it's not actually there.
I'm the same, but I do like tricks with it, you know, like I'm always, I swear I'm always doing something like the bill needs to be better, but you go like back here and then back here and you put it back on your head.
Do the top hat flip thing where you can put it on your head.
Well, I wear a hat mainly to keep the sun out of my eyes. You know, that's
really good when it's facing the other way.
Yeah,
I heard that's what they're good for.
Yeah, mine is utilitarian. It's functional. That's my.
You're that meme that's going around the internet. That guy at the baseball game with the hat on backwards and he's going like this, so you can see the game.
Hell yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
I must say, I watched your guys' show. And it feels good to be in a live setting like this. I kind of feel like I'm watching it because I'm doing it on my phone, which is odd. So I feel like I'm actually like watching it, but being engaged with it. It's funny.
It's funny too because I had a conversation with somebody. Who was it? Someone called me the other day or something that like knew me from the show, but they wanted like help with something and they just decided to call me. They're like, it's so weird hearing your voice on the phone. I'm like, this is just me. It was just me as a human being you're talking to.
I know,
it's erotic. It's really great. You have a sexy voice, Dylan. I mean, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, so do you though, Andy. Like
his
you have
is
very
smooth.
like the soft and smoothness. Like you could put me to sleep with a little baby bone, dude.
You talking about my voice or my hands? Because or both maybe.
Oh, both.
Okay.
He does this to your temples as he's talking to you.
Oh yeah. My girlfriend's in the next room going, stop it over there.
I love it. So tell us about Pentools and how you guys got going with that. We kind of heard some from Cole, but I want you both to bicker about it.
Yeah. Cole?
Where should we start? I mean, the beginning of it is always great because we talk about how meeting people on Instagram is always a really funny thing. And I don't know who originally reached out to who. Cam, did you reach out to me? And then we were talking about...
Yeah, because I remember... Well, I think this is how it went. We were chatting about something. And I remember my girlfriend, Haley, she's very much like when I start talking about people, she'll be like, God, why don't you just kiss them or something like that? So it was one of those days. It was one of those days where I was like, dude, this Cole guy is really fucking cool, man. Like I've never been able to talk to somebody about this kind of stuff. And I think that I had already been thinking like, I should start and see if this guy wants to start a podcast. And I think within like a few minutes, he texted me and was like, dude, the stuff we're talking about, we could really put it into a podcast. And I was like, I was just thinking that. And then we were like, the whole Step Brothers thing goes, do we just become best friends?
Yeah.
Yep. And from there, we just started like kind of chatting about it. And after a month, we were like, hey, like, are you really serious about this thing? And it started because like we had a nightmare mutual client who was really, really putting us through the ringer at separate times. Yeah. And so this guy had been, you literally you give him an inch and he was taking a mile of my time. Yeah. And when I saw that, I decided one day that I didn't want to let him waste any more of my time. So I just stopped messaging him because, and it's totally unprofessional on my part, but I had told him several times, like I had sent him money back because of a weird situation where he was like, "What, bro? Like, you think you could disrespect me?" Anyway, I'm getting off on a weird tangent.
Basically, like Cam tried to give me like a heads up that he like, and it was kind of like, he was like, "I'm not sure if this guy's reaching out to you or not. Just want to let you know that like I had a bad interaction with him, and I just am looking out for other designers in case like he's trying to, whatever to somebody else."
We do that same thing as printers.
Yeah. It's a small community, so it seems like if someone's going and searching for a quote, they're probably going to, get by with I would say a list of 50 designers, maybe 100 designers. And, that's pretty small in the overall like grand scheme of things. But it was just kind of funny because that day I had like literally spent hours with this guy. So I was just kind of laughing. I'm like, yeah, this guy is not the best. Thanks for the heads up and hopefully and whatever. So we just kept in touch. Yeah. And we started like spitballing ideas for the podcast, coming up with names, what we want. Cause a big section that we thought we were going to put into it was like nightmare clients and nightmare stories. But then we realized that if we were starting to talk about all of this on the thing, it could probably come back to get us to where like all of a sudden all we talk about is bad people or bad clients. And then we didn't want that to be reflected on like, no one wants to work with us, So
cause it would be all of our clients could be doing the same thing. Like, a client that recommended me to this other person, that other person could go, "Hey, do you see what that designer said on his podcast? He said he said like we were a nightmare." And I know he was saying it by the description of the design.
Yeah, but dude, in all honesty, it's like I feel like you should at least sprinkle that in. Like you shouldn't make it a big part of the show, but you should definitely talk about it, because that's the thing with like me and Andy is like, that's why people like our shows, just because it's like real and we talk about real shit. We don't just like sugarcoat everything all the time. It's like, oh yeah, this is great. It's like, let's talk about the shit too, because truthfully, if you talked about that dude you're talking about right now, and like he knew that he worked with both of you, maybe next time when he goes to another designer, he won't be such a fucking prick.
That's exactly it.
You know what I mean? Like someone's being like, hey, you're an asshole to work for. Maybe you should not do that.
Yeah. And that's totally kind of like when we were going into, it's still definitely in there. We breeze upon it. There's a lot of shit that I cut out, and Cole and I know each other enough now to where it's like, I know what he wants to take out. And, but there are times to where we do dive into it, to where it's like, we'll talk about, this person really sucked, this client didn't understand.
I think what we overall
too.
Sorry. I think what we overall like do is like, we do talk about it, but we don't target like the one person that we know we're talking about. We just like, we talk about the big, larger things about like what we wouldn't want a client to like say or do.
Like this one client might do this and then talk about it.
Yeah. Rather than be like it, just in the case that we know that they're going to come back and like work with us again, they'll probably not feel some sort of way working with us in like the future, because
if his name is Michael, you'd just be like, well, Schmeichel did this one thing.
Yeah, right.
on the topic of
Jonathan.
While we're on this topic,
sorry.
Hey, we were coming up with some pretty good names. I think it seems like the past 2 episodes we were coming up with some pretty good names, but it's obviously we lost him. There, he's back.
No, he was just laughing so hard. He was down for a while.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Cam's really funny sometimes.
Yeah.
No, but while we're on this topic,
I got a banger here and there.
I think our favorite design critique we've gotten back was, I think I hate this. Do you have any favorites? Yeah. Do you have any favorites that you like replies you've got after you've sent off a proof or a design that sticks to you?
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
I think mostly it's been on the proposals, like less on the design backs. Like, yeah, I've had people just, send me like way too many like HAs. Like it was just like, ha 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 ha. Like I would never pay this price, that's always funny.
Now, do you guys give them the price up front before you do anything at all?
Yeah, have
give
to.
them the price after anything.
I give them a price up front.
Price up front and 50% deposit before start, because in the graphic design like spectrum, if you're not getting paid up front, they're always going to like run with whatever you provide them.
100%. Yeah, and it'll happen if you. I've given concept art for with no deposit, and that was years ago. But they used that same concept art and gave it to somebody else who charged cheaper, and it was basically a shittier version of my vision of the design. So
they'll take your design and go to Fiverr.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And that shit sucks. So it's like even concept work, it's like that's still work. So even when people go like, you can't even like give me a basic sketch, I was like, no, that's still me working. And in most cases, the concept work is the hardest part.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know what I'm gonna do from here on. Well, that's the easy part. But the funniest one I get is, I love it, but how about we change this, and this? And it's like, do you even love it? I don't think you love it, because if you loved it, you didn't need to change anything.
There's always like the standard responses, like, I like it, but I want to make it pop. That's a great one. Make it bigger.
Yeah, exactly.
Get that like every time, make it bigger. They love that.
Yeah.
When, do you find yourself like steering them into what you think would look better? Or if they are just whatever they're requesting, do you just do what they want and then give it to them? Or do you, anyway, because sometimes that's hard. You know what I mean? Like you know what would look better.
Yeah. That really comes with time. At the beginning phase of a designer, I feel like you're always taking commands and, trying to please a client. But I think over time you learn that they're coming to you specifically for your own professional.
Right. Like you get that clout.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. A little bit of clout, but also more of like, okay, they want this. Usually they're right in some way, shape or form. Like, if the design actually is in need of some sort of direction, but overall the designer's really in the power chair of how that can happen. So if you're doing that in the best way, you're really giving them like, hey, I agree, this is something that can be changed, but we're going to do it in a way that's not going to spend 3 days redrawing it or something. So you have to. It's really a way that we need to steer them into a direction that works out for both of us. Because when you get into an agreement or a contract with a client, it's a team effort really when it comes down to it. And like, just like if they say and want to go print a shirt and they give you a design with 20 colors in it, and you're like, hey, maybe I could do this for you, but it's going to be this price. I think you could do it just as well. Or the graphic will sell just as well if we did it in like a 4-color or something like this. And this is how we'll create that for you. And then
I always try to, sorry to cut you off, Cole.
No, that's basically where I was going with it.
I always try to dim down the colors in their head too. Cause like if they want like a crazy amount of colors, I always try to remind them I can do that. It's going to be more money on my part, but it's also you're going to be spending more money with the printer too, because each color is a different screen cost and all that stuff. So I try to get them to imagine a little step farther, because in their head, they don't know how any of this process goes.
Right.
They don't know anything about design. They don't know anything about printing. Basically to them, it's just we're adults coloring. And then all of a sudden now you're going to take this picture and laminate it onto a t-shirt. That's as far as they know. So like when, you know, trying to explain the design process to them, I always try to keep in mind, you got to be considerate of the printer. You need to have an actual ideal amount of colors. And during the sketch process, like I'll try to tell them, I'll try to make it as easy as possible for them to kind of imagine and go with me to how it's going to look. You know, they'll see a bunch of my other work, and I'll tell them like, hey, here's the sketch. You're not going to hurt my feelings. That's the biggest thing I try to get over to them, because when they say, you know, like, I love it, but I'd like to change this, that's kind of them being like, okay, we really don't like this. So I try to kind of tell them at the beginning, you're not going to hurt my feelings by saying you don't like a certain part of this design. It's just going to cut out so much wasted time if you just be honest with me from the beginning.
Right. And it matters like too about the goals of like what a designer is. You know, like a client comes to us for their vision, and we're just kind of having to create that and give them something that they like. So overall, like they're always kind of in the driver's seat. We're just a way to make that happen in a really cool way, or something that we get excited about.
Yeah.
Now this is a question for both of you, I guess. It's just like, do you focus on a certain market? Like, do you want to just do like, you know, like apparel graphics, or are you across the board where you're like, oh, I'll do a web design, I'll do apparel graphics, I'll do stuff for, you know, like a billboard that can be unlimited colors or whatever? Or do you focus on like one thing and that's what you're known for?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We actually try to get this topic on our pod quite often too, because we always say that you should, as a designer, put out designs that you want to get back. So if, let's say, you wanted to focus on apparel graphics, like go put out a bunch of apparel graphics on your social and showcase that art. So that way that's something that you're getting back from client work, because usually people are always looking at your portfolio and basing their choosing process on which designer to go for based on their past work. So I think me and Cam, and I won't speak for you because I'm sure you want to touch on this too, but most of our social page is kind of geared around the apparel graphics realm. So I feel like I do get a lot of apparel graphic clients from that. And that's been a space that we both really enjoy. But I do feel like a lot of my reoccurring clients are more so on like the brand identity side. That's a little bit more of like the larger projects and ongoing, where we're doing everything, or I'm doing everything. It's just website, branding, logo, you know, style guide, apparel graphics, whatever it is. So like I try to keep my hand in as many full scale projects as possible.
Yeah. Now,
oh,
go ahead, Cam. I want to hear your side.
I'm very much still in the logo and apparel realm. Cole's a little bit smarter than me. He can tap into like website design and all that stuff. That's a way above me, but I've definitely stayed into the logo and brand identity realm of things. I love apparel design. It's definitely where I get to kind of stretch my legs a little bit, but it definitely doesn't make enough money for me to primarily focus on it. Everybody needs a business, or everybody with a business needs a logo. And so that's kind of where the money is in. And I love logo design. It's definitely, you know, been able to pay a lot of my bills and, you know, get me ahead of things. But I also do a lot of stuff in the wrestling world, and professional wrestling doesn't pay. So that's more or less a passion project of mine. So I still kind of get into the billboard and like the advertisement design. I do that less because, like I said, it doesn't pay. I just did a promo graphic poster lineup for a pretty big wrestling promotion that just kind of, it's affiliated with a bigger one, but they just started off a new branch. And I loved that project. I wouldn't be able to take on a bunch of these projects because it didn't pay very, very well. In the grand scheme of things in that world, everything wrestling is kind of like just a passion project. And so I have to really, with every project over there, I really have to kind of try to grab as much logo client work as I can to kind of make up for lost time.
Yeah. And it's funny too, because like, I feel, I don't know, like being in our side of the industry where we're the printers, like we're constantly, especially me, like I'm constantly using freelancers for artwork for my customers because I could see either one of your guys' work or some of the other guys that we use. I could see their work and be like, oh, this guy's going to kill this. This is what the customer's asking for. I know it directly should go to this guy or girl. And it's funny because like when I get a graphic from somebody, I'm like, oh, this t-shirt graphic, sometimes it's definitely made for a t-shirt. Like it's obviously when you look at it, you're like, this is like a 6 color, it's going to be a back print and it's going to be, or they're going to do a left chest or whatever they're going to do. But sometimes it's just like a cool badge design that you're like, oh, the client could totally use this for like a logo or just some branding for now or something and then change it up. But the problem is that I hear from certain designers and I feel like I want to get your opinion if it's every designer feels this way or if it's just like certain designers where a logo is like here as far as like we should be charging, you're only using it for a logo, you're not using it for apparel, you're using it for this specifically. And then if I make you a t-shirt graphic, it's more priced down here, but I don't want to see you use that as a logo because then you're using it for rights that I didn't intend you to use it for. I feel like that's a weird, like I get it. It makes sense on your guys' end.
It makes
but it's weird.
Sense, yeah.
It's weird to be like, well, I paid you for this graphic. Why can't I use it for whatever I want to use it for?
Yeah, and that's
I wanted to get your opinion on
slope with that.
Yeah,
that's the touchy area because it's like as designers, like we want to mark up everything depending on what. But once I hand that thing off, I can't control what you do with it.
Right, but that's
and
what I mean.
Like,
it's weird because it's like, yeah, I asked you to make me like an eagle and a badge with my name and stuff under it, and you made that for me, and you sent me the vector file. If I take that file that I paid for from you and I want to use it on hats, I want to use it on a billboard, I want to use it on a bus, I want to use it as my logo. Like, I paid you to do the artistic part of this thing and I got it from you. And now it's mine to do whatever I want to do with. That's why I think it's weird, like to be like, I get it. It makes sense. Cause on your guys' end, it's like, well, if it's a logo and you're going to be using this all over the place, like the value should be more because you're going to be using this thing for like 30, 40 years or whatever it is, as long as the business is around.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it's weird to describe that to the customer, be like, well, you can only use this for apparel.
Here's the only thing that when you go into like a relationship with a designer and whoever your client is backwards, there's 2 things to remember. And one is that it's kind of a team thing. Like if I want to charge you $2,000 for an apparel graphic, you might not be able to make that t-shirt work because you're only going to do 25 pieces or 50 pieces, right? So we know that as a designer. So we're only going to charge you, like I would say a typical apparel graphic would cost around $500, right? And if you're a really small t-shirt company, you might not even be able to pay that price, right? They're looking for like the $100 graphic because they now have to have the cost of the t-shirt and they know they have to sell it for that $25 range, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So we know that too going into pricing apparel graphics. And if you're like a massive apparel brand that is able to withstand, a really high rate for a t-shirt graphic, then maybe we'd price it differently. But there is a standard of like what people are looking to pay for those t-shirt graphics, which isn't.
He's giving away the secrets to design right now and we can't hear him.
Yeah, I know, right? He's
like, and the secret to life is...
Sorry.
That's exactly what Draftman did to us the other week.
Yeah. But really, the thing that comes down to is that they're priced because of the usage, not the other way around, right? We know that the outcome of what a logo is going to be. So you're going to put that on everything, and you can go put it on apparel or a bus or a billboard or a website, and we priced out that product for you the same way
What can you guys do though? Like if you give someone a graphic and they decide to do whatever the hell they want to do with it, what can you guys, is there any legal anything?
Well, legally we could sue. Especially if you buttoned it up well enough in your proposal or your outline and that you signed off on. And what's
how often are you actually doing that though? Like 99.9% of the time that I'm working with a designer, I'm like, hey, this is what I need done. They're like, okay, cool. PayPal me fucking $400. And then that's it. That's the end of the transaction. Like they email me the artwork and it's done.
You know what would be epic though, is if we made something for like Google and they didn't properly use it. Like we buttoned it up for them to use as an apparel graphic and they used it as their logo and they put that graphic on everything. Every single dollar that came from that product, I can go sue you for, and then hopefully I can go sit on my ass for the rest of my life.
But the thing is, if you're dealing with Google, it's like, okay, there's going to be a whole like contract and layout and everything like that. I'm saying that like me as a print company going to a designer and being like, hey, I need this graphic for this customer. They're like, okay, cool. It's like $300. I pay them. They email me a vector. There's no talk at all of like, this is only for this. If you use it for anything other, whatever, like that never happens.
Then you're in the right, because that designer did not properly discuss with you what that product is going to be for. And you have that to lean on, like, I didn't know. And that's on the designer. The designer always needs to put in there, like mine literally states like apparel graphic, like this is what it's for, logo design, this is what it's for. And
I've never had to pull the trigger on that. Most of my like apparel graphics, they don't translate over to kind of a logo. Some of them, you could very much but if I ever ran into that situation, I'd probably have to speak up and say something, just being like, hey, this was, I can't say that I wouldn't do anything because, someone listening may screw me over in the future, but, but I don't know, it's a weird situation because it's like, if it were to happen, like, say I charge up here for a logo and, branding kit or whatever. And then, this, like Cole was saying, it's like, we know, on some level that they can't afford, this like fucking, $3-4 grand, apparel
T-shirt
design,
graphic,
but they can afford, but they can afford this like, $300 to $500 illustration graphic for apparel. And it's like, I don't know. I haven't run into anybody in a long time that's, that has, I haven't ran into anybody in a long time that's actually taken that and been like, oh, this is better than my logo. Yeah. And I'm, with each job, I do vet the brand who's coming to me. And so when they have me, here's a good example. I did a t-shirt design for this brand a few months back, and their logo was not that good. And so I tried to pitch them into maybe designing a cleaner logo in the same process. So what I did is the design that I did, I told them I can make a very condensed version for you to use for X amount more, just taking elements of this illustration design that we just built. And I can give this to you in a little package. The logo, this little logo badge will be set off to the side, and then you can use it. At first, they said no. They said that they liked their logo. So I showed them the illustration design. I was like, so you see this looks better than your actual logo. Don't take offense to that, but this is a lot cleaner. And the idea behind the illustration was to take their existing logo and to make something else of it. I was like, we're going to have some conflicting interest here. And it was the only time I've really explained, like, this is an illustration design. This can't be used as a logo. No matter where you put this, it's not going to frame up right. And so I put it into that language for them so that they would know. And so me extending the offer a little bit, going, hey, for this much more, I can take this isolated image and I can throw it over here and we can build a little logo kit for you so you don't have to run into this issue going on later. And after I explained that to him, it was definitely an investment for him. And now I see this brand, they've completely scrapped their old version of the logo and they started using this little icon. And all I had to do was kind of, explain the situation, make a little bit more money off of it for doing the extra work. But now this guy isn't going to go and try to use that graphic as a logo.
Use the logo instead.
He's going to use the logo I did instead, because his logo was about, in here, and his type was right across the forefront of his logo. And it's like, what did you do? Like, who did you hire? And so when he saw what I had for him, I could see it in his eye. He was just like, ooh, we're going to use this. And I was like, can't do that. But that's really it.
Yeah. Well, real quick, I watched the Lincoln chop up videos on YouTube. I love those guys. And he said something, and I think it was in the last episode where this was where this kind of conversation came from with this logo thing. But he was saying kind of like what you were saying is, if you made an apparel graphic, it's meant to be, 12 wide by 14 tall or whatever it is. It's got detail in there that's meant to show at that size. So the problem is that these people will take that graphic, use it as a logo, and then it's shrunk way down to go on like anything else. And then other people are like, oh, the detail looks like shit in that because it's so small or it's not well enough there. Yeah. And then it just looks bad on the person who designed it, because then it's like, well, you didn't design that correctly because obviously it doesn't work on that size item. But that's just kind of where I wanted to get. Yeah.
I mean, or worse, they give it to a company like a sign company or whatever, and they manipulate it. They dip into your file, and then because they know that scaling it's going to fuck it up, and so they dip in and they fix it without you knowing it. So, as long as they have that file, they can do that kind of stuff. I mean, I think that we design logos here every single day. And not just logos, but t-shirt graphics, right? That's what I meant. Really, is that we design graphics for shirts every single day, and people use them for other things, and they rarely ask. I mean, it just happens all the time. And so when you were saying that you give them this like a presentation or a package, or you can even give them a file that says, for additional cost, that says, here, I'm going to give this to you so that you can give it to your sign guy or business cards or whatever. I mean, do people get business cards anymore? I don't know. Maybe not. But whatever you want to. Yeah,
I meet people.
So if you can use this for whatever, and for this extra fee, I'll give it to you all nice and neat in a file that you can, with good, with usable art instead of, some crummy thing that they're going to scale up and it doesn't work. I mean, that's a pretty good idea. It reminds me too of so here in St. Louis, Monsanto is here, and they do this like similar thing. So when I said you could sue earlier, it's sort of like that. So they give a seed out to a farmer, right? And they plant whatever they're going to plant. And these farmers were taking this seed that was, I guess, modified by Monsanto and using it once this plant grows, using the seed from that plant and then planting their crops, right? And they weren't going to Monsanto anymore. And Monsanto said, hey, wait a minute. No, you have to buy from us every single year. You can't use the seeds off the seeds, from the stuff you're planting. And so they sued them and they won, and I think it's sort of similar. I mean, a lot of people hated that, but it's sort of similar to you designing this art and then them taking it and using it again and again for eternity, And so I don't know how you sue a small company, somebody who comes in here and you're going to sue them and they're going to be like, oh, sorry, we're gone. You don't,
usually
we don't have any money.
If there's no if there's nothing to sue for, then if the company's not making any money off of it, then what is there to sue, right? And no one really wants to have that headache as a designer either of like suing somebody, right? It's gotta be worth it.
I just feel like for the end customer, like for us, we're talking about it because we know and we deal with it all the time. But for the end customer, it's a super hard sell to even have this conversation. They're like, well, I'm paying you to do the drawing and you're doing it anyway. Why am I paying 10 times the price for this? Yeah. When you're doing this, and they're like, you're like, well, you're going to use this more. And I'm like, well, that's cool. I'm still paying for it now. Like,
I think it really comes down to communication and pricing, right? If you get into the conversation, the second you hear logo or the second you hear apparel design, like my proposal is going to be geared directly towards that and its usage. And if you're not communicating that properly to a client, then you're going to get this sort of really weird altercation at some point that could happen. And that's what everyone's trying to avoid, right? You want to get into a relationship with a designer.
So long story short, if anyone's listening to this that's in design or whatever, you should make a formal, it's kind of like with us as printers, we make a really detailed mock-up form that the customer has to approve. Mm-hmm. And on that mock-up form, it says all the shit, like has the kind of the terms and conditions of like, if you agree to this, then this is what's happening. And like, if you don't, then it's kind of like, whatever. Yeah. So you should have, when you send them a design or a mock-up, it should say in there, like, this is the use, this is what this is. So you protect yourself. So if they do decide to do whatever with it, you technically could sue if you wanted to, but most of the time you're not going to, but it's, if it is Google and you can live on it for the rest of your life, then sue the fuck out of them.
Oh yeah.
That's really,
in most cases, I feel like, because I watched that Lincoln episode with Dan talking about, different deliverables being geared at different pricing and most people using the apparel pack for their logo and whatnot. At the end of the day, I would see that, and depending on what brand was doing it, and not to sound mean, but there are some brands that, you can know from right out the gate that they're not going to go any further than a certain point. And so, there's some leeway there. Now, if a brand, say I'm doing something for a really big brand and they take this graphic and they use it for a logo, or they use it for like a cover page or something like that, I'll talk to them about it. I'll just be, hey, how much use are you going to get out of this? But at the end of the day, it's like, it's not that much of a big deal.
So I guess to come off of this kind of I guess if somebody's asking for like a badge style design for a t-shirt, it's a different story. But you guys as t-shirt designers, how do you approach, I know you were talking about like knowing to keep the colors down, but is there anything else you guys do in your design process to keep the printer in mind as far as like line thickness, how, if you're using gradients and everything like that, are you laying things out a certain way for the printer, or are you just doing your art and saying, hey, I did my design, printer can figure it out?
No, I definitely keep the printer in mind from the beginning. I try to, I'll design it knowing that I'm going to expand everything later. And then especially with like halftone patterns and stuff like that, I try to keep it, print savvy to where it's like all you have to do once you walk into that file, you're going to be able to break down everything by color and all that stuff. I still have a layer system so that you can go in and edit it if you need to make it easier. So you don't have to like come back to me or anything like that. But I try to keep the printer in mind at all times. So I try to keep all of the colors consistent. I'll use more of like a true black so that, you can go in there and, rip out the black a little bit easier, say if you're printing on a black t-shirt. But in a lot of cases, I try to keep, small color palette. I try to use halftones to kind of eliminate bringing in a darker shade of like a red or anything else. But yeah, I try to create everything for print.
Yeah, there's a couple things that like we see a lot that we end up if we get in a relationship with the printer, we try to tell them like, hey, do it this way or don't do it this way.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things too, depending on what kind of garment it's going on. If it super helps, if, like say for discharge, if the client wants all these colors to be discharged, like if there's any way when you design it to make sure that most of the colors don't touch, like if there's a black stroke around everything and it's going on a black shirt, that's like the best thing ever when it comes to like discharge printing, because then there's no worries about them bleeding on top of each other. Or the other thing is like if you're going to have a design that has a bunch of gradients in it, to give us the layers of the gradients without any halftoning. Because when we get them here, we're knowing, okay, we're going to put this on a 230 and we're going to do it at this line count and at this angle, whatever. So like if you as a designer just go ahead and pre-halftone everything, it's locked in. Like we're printing your halftones however they come out. And we have certain designers that that send me the halftones, and that's fine as long as they're like cartoony halftones. Like you can see halftone dots. But if somebody's giving me like a realistic looking image and it's all halftoned, like super, super fine detail halftones, they might not be meant for the right mesh that we're going to print them on. And then you're going to see like patterns in the, you'll see stepping in the halftones, or they won't blow out in certain areas because they're way too small. So that's kind of what we generally
That's something I definitely had to learn a long time ago. I was working with my buddy Corey. He owns a print shop in Visalia, close by. And he just randomly hit me up one day. He was like, hey, man, these halftones are so small, they didn't register. And that didn't even register in my head. I was like, whoa, like, these halftones are too small. That doesn't make any sense. So I went in and I could see, and he sent me a picture and they all bled together. And then that kind of taught me, okay, don't go too small, kind of stay in this range. In the graphics I did for you, like I made sure that the halftones were big enough to where once you print it, you'll be able to see all that fine detail and stuff. But it's really, you don't even think about that kind of stuff as a designer until, Dylan, like you were saying, you have that relationship with your printer or with your designer to say, hey, do it this way.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
And I've been in the activewear space like my entire design career. And so at a very early age, I worked in a screen print shop and like had done every step from burning the films and screens to designing it. So I was always taught that you should know what the screen shop or the print shop has to do with your artwork, like while you send it. So that's always kind of been engraved in my design process. Like I do basically the work for the print shop. So I send over a like detailed tech pack, like for print.
Right.
So it's already buttoned up. You guys already have all the artwork. I try to leave gradients out in general from my artwork so that there's never really that problem.
If you want to become best friends with the printer, do that. Make everything like perfect for print. And that's something that I would suggest to anybody. Like we were talking about different markets and what you guys try to get into. But if you're a designer that you want to work in the apparel industry, as far as like making graphics for apparel, I would say go to a local print shop and just hang out with them as much as possible, or ask them, be like, is there anything I can do better to like, make this better? Because that's the thing. Like I said, we use freelancers for artwork. Andy has his own in-house design team. And it's kind of like, I use like maybe realistically, I probably have like 12 or 14 designers I could use that I prefer to use that I know do good work. But realistically, I'm probably using like 4 all the time. Like every day we have stuff that comes in and I'm like, I'm going to send it to these 4. And the reason why I use those 4 over everybody else is because anytime I get artwork from them, it's like basically ready to go. Yeah. Like Pantones are picked, mock-ups are made. Like everything I need as far as like the layers is like labeled, it's like, oh, this is the Pantone for this layer. This is the Pantone for this layer.
It's sized.
It's size. Yeah. It's like basically correct and ready to go.
Type
like
they know
what they're doing.
Out.
But like I said, there's designers that we could use and we get it and it's a flat JPEG and or it's an Illustrator file that's like outside of the canvas. And then when we get it, it's just like cut square. You know what I mean? It's shit like that where you're like, you get the artwork, it's cool, the artwork's good, but then you look at the customer, you get it, and then you have to call them back and like, hey, can you resend it as this? Oh, you did gradients galore on this with drop shadows and fucking bevels, and it's a flat image. Like we have to pull all this shit out. It's like,
yeah, screw that.
I'll put you on my second string design list now, because when I work with you, I have to jump through hoops in order to get it to work.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you gave it to us, like, hey, here's the shit, here's the artwork, let me know if you need another one.
Sounds like just like you guys serve as like a all in-house one service sort of thing, where I can come to you guys and you guys would design and print, right? Mm-hmm. I'm trying to offer it like the same way backwards. So if you come to me, you also get the full design service and the print. And I'm also serving at, like, I try to offer as many things as I possibly can. So that way, if a customer comes to me, I'm going to be like a one-stop shop. And so that's why I try to give them, I serve as a print shop too. So I'm trying to give my print shop as easy of access to my files, or to print them as simple as possible, because we're printing, tons of shirts every week or every month for seasonal lines.
Now, Andy, how does it work when people show up at your place and they're like, hey, I have no artwork, but I want shirts, whatever. How do they go about that with your team?
We tell them to leave.
Sounds about right.
Good.
So it used to be that our designers also were account managers. They actually wrote the work order. And there's something to be said for that. And that's actually how we grew and was one of our competitive advantages. I mean, people knew that if they came here, that they could talk to a designer. And that meant a lot. It's sort of like if you're going to go get a tattoo and you just all of a sudden sit down in a chair and it starts happening. Isn't it great to just talk about it for a second? And so we got away from that though. And so what happens mostly is they come in and we take a work order, and if they have any complicated art questions, then what a customer service specialist will do is go grab a designer, and they'll say, like for a consultation, let's say, if it's just like a quick one, like a 5-minute deal, and that works out well. I found that probably saves 2 or 3 back and forth emails. You know what I mean? Because you just, like you said earlier, Cole, you were talking about communication. I mean, if you communicate the right stuff up front, then it's going to save time. I just hired, in one of the doors that are getting ready to open on next week is another designer, and that'll make that 6. However, she is a hybrid. She's going to be sort of a designer / customer service specialist. And so she's going to be up front, not in the design room initially anyway. And she's going to be up front, and she's going to be able to, talk to customers about art, which is pretty special. I think that's cool. That makes us different. Now, Dylan, he doesn't have the sort of, his business model isn't that. He doesn't have people walking in all day long like we do here. And so it wouldn't make sense to have, I don't know if it makes sense to have a bunch of designers at your shop. I think he's doing it, whatever he's doing is working for him. But as he was saying earlier, like he said that he's kind of narrowed it down. Yeah, he has 14 or 20 designers that he can go to, but he's kind of narrowed it down to 4 because they give him everything that he likes. The design works well, and the art, the file works well. Do you have are you guys diversified? Do you have all kinds of clients? Do you have a client that gives you a bunch of work that chews up like half your week? How do you do it? And do you like that sort of client? Do you like a client that gives you 20, 30 hours a week and then fill in with other stuff? What's the best, are you different? Are you the same? What's the best makeup of clients for you guys?
I don't know what it's like for Cam's day today.
Do you guys even know each other?
I know that. We're both used to be the same because we both worked for somebody full time, and we went into freelance in similar times and for the same reasons, right? And I know that we both have larger clients, and you still work with that company quite often, right, Cam?
Yeah, I work for a sports supplement. So my old day job for about 4 years was working in the supplement industry as their advertising designer and promo graphics. when I stepped away and quit my day job, I talked them into hiring me on as like an independent contract designer. And I've been doing that. They are they're my biggest retainer client. So I do a certain amount of hours for them every week, certain hours every month that pay me in a stipend and stuff. But it's definitely not the kind of work that I love. I mean, I kind of stepped away from that industry for a reason, but I needed
but it's money.
It's money. It's money. And so I get to work from home. And it's easy work. You know, it may not be my favorite, but it takes me no time in the day just to kind of drop in one of these templated out files, and I just do it. And I think that's the thing about graphic design. It's like, it might be different work, but once you become, you know, so used to it, it's just like going for a walk. It's easy. You know, you just kind of open up the files, you read the description of what kind of ad they're wanting to do this week. And you just go drop in different renders, change out the copy, change out the background, and boom, you export it out. And then they have advertising for the week.
Well, it's just kind of like my buddy, Zach Newton, who he's like one of my top 4. Like he's my go-to when I need something. And it's funny because like I'm always sending him stuff, or I'm referring people that are friends of me to him. And it gets to the point where like he's too busy to fit my shit in. And I'm like, hey, I sent you a bunch of stuff.
Right.
But the other part of it is like he busts his ass at Hallmark. So like his full day is Hallmark. And then when he gets home, he's got freelance stuff to do. But the thing is I usually go to him with the fun projects. You know what I mean? Like he's got people that are like, oh, I need this. And I'm like, hey, would you like to do this thing for so-and-so? And he's like, fuck, that's way better than anything else I got doing right now. And then he'll do it for me, which is funny. I love the guy, but I don't know. It's just rough. Like you said, like you're doing the stuff that isn't your favorite stuff to do, but it pays the bills. And I feel like with him, it's the same kind of thing with Hallmark. Like he's been there so long. It's his full-time job, but he doesn't want to give it up because it's so like consistent and big. And
that's really
and I took a big pay cut, kind of stepping away from my day job, but keeping them was definitely a smart decision to make, kind of verging away. And I feel like Zach could probably do the same thing if he wanted to. He could probably, but I can't speak for him, but you know, he could probably have like a little, talk him into hiring him on as an independent contract designer.
Well, it's funny. The last time I talked to him was last week, and I had some really big projects for him to do, and he ended up cranking out sketches for me for the meeting that I have tomorrow. And it's funny because I told him, I was like, just quit your job. Like it's easy for me to say it on my end. I'm like, just quit your job because I got so many projects I want you to work on. And that's just me goofing around with him though, and being like, hey, I just told him, I was like, dude, I love working with you. I love the stuff that you crank out. Like, I wish you had more time for me. It was like that girlfriend thing. I'm like, come on, like spend more time with me.
That's really the main thing when it comes to freelancing is the stability of pay or not stability of pay. And if you're going to have that retainer client that's going to pay you everything, unless you're a unicorn, you're probably not doing like the most fun work every day, or you're doing something that's not necessarily like super creative, or maybe it is creative, but you get burnt out by that same thing over and over again.
Well, it's like us as printers, like it's the same thing. You guys have that side thing, whatever it was that you were doing, but it's kind of like for us, it's contract work. Yeah. Like we have, people that we don't specifically anymore, but shops do, like print shops. A lot of them have contract work that comes in that fills the gaps in their schedule. So like ideally you want to go after direct to customer all the time because that's where the profit is. Mm-hmm. But if you can't, like you don't have enough customers or you're slow or whatever, it's nice to take the contract work because it's always there and the money isn't as good, but it's there and reoccurring and you can
that's it too. That's exactly it. Like the reality is when you're a retainer client and you want to pay like some sort of yearly amount, you then start to feel like you own the person or you own the designer. Right. So, whenever you need them, it's like, I need you. And usually that in itself is really exhausting, and it's kind of taken away from what we want to be as a freelancer and being our own boss and doing our own schedule and whatnot. And the time to do that is usually like the output that we're creating for that retainer client is usually like twice as much for probably less pay.
Right.
So in like the best case scenario, you're just getting like a bunch of random works because you're usually charging like a high margin or a high price for that one design that may not be taking you as long as it would be if you're serving,
I guess the only nice thing though about
it's a security blanket.
It's the security blanket.
If you have a client that's giving you that, if you're on retainer with a client, the nice thing about them is the relationship though, because you're used to working with them and you know what they want. And so maybe it's quicker. You're you're charging less, but maybe it's faster. You don't have a lot of back and forth.
Yeah.
You already might know.
Work,
you might already know their clicks too. Like, oh, he's not going to like this, or they're not going to want me to do that. So it skips a lot of steps.
Yeah. With my retainer job at EFX, this big supplement company based out of Montana, I know them. I've known them for so long. I know what they're going to like, what they're going to dislike. I just know, the different styles that I can get away with and all that stuff to where it is easy work. It's not a crazy amount of money like when I worked for them full time, but I'm actually cranking out more work now because I've set in their branding. I've designed all their branding, but it's like I know the company in and out. So this work has just become so much easier for me to do, to where it's like, all right, it is worth the amount of money that they're paying me a month. And it does allow me to kind of pay attention to more bigger projects and all that stuff.
Cole, do you work from home too?
Yeah, I work from home.
So one thing I noticed about our team here is that we first started out with one designer, then there was two, and it grew, right? Like I noticed that once there were more in that room, that they sort of, it wasn't just adding one at a time. It was sort of an exponential effect. There was a certain energy, and they bounce ideas off of each other.
So they talk shit to each other.
They certainly, they definitely also do that. But my point is, like, it seems like anyway, the more people in there, the better art that comes out of. Seriously, the better art that comes out of that room.
I believe that.
Yeah.
So you're both work from home. How do you experience that ever? And what do you do besides this podcast? Or maybe the podcast is the answer. The
podcast is the answer.
Because really what we've said this whole time is that design is a really lonely thing. And there's, very few people, like I don't know another graphic designer as I was growing up. I don't have another graphic designer friend that I would talk to. And that's a big perk of working at either like a creative agency or, apparel design or apparel company like a Vans or a Hurley or something like that, because you get to work in such a fun space. And you get to like bounce ideas off of other designers and creatives. You're probably going to become, better designer, by doing that. And it's a lot of fun. Right. But it's just the pay. It's always the pay, because if you're going to do that, which may be really fun, you're going to parties and having group events and stuff like that. You're just going to get your typical design salary. And as a freelancer, we really don't have a ceiling. And it's like, we can, we're actually probably giving up our 9 to 5s by turning it into 7 to 10s,
Yeah, totally.
But in the reality of things, it's just like, I feel like I'm setting up a bigger thing for myself in the grand scheme of things of what we're able to grow, being our own freelancer. And if you do become big enough, you're able to even outsource design work to other designers.
Well, that's another interesting point, because you have all this work. You were just talking about 9 to 5 and then 7 to 10. What do you do about work-life balance? And so you're working from home.
There is no balance.
Yeah, I was just about to say the same thing. There is no balance. Like I will get up in the morning, sit behind my desk, drink coffee at 8 a.m. And there are sometimes where it's like 11 o'clock at night. And I'm like, oh shit, I got to go to bed. And, I forget to go outside and walk my dog and, get up, my back hurts and shit like that.
Yeah. There's really a thing about being on call too. The accessibility of being on call. So like if someone needs something now and let's say I'm just like watching TV or relaxing, I feel some sort of obligation to like get up, go to my desk, bust it out in 10 minutes, send it to the designer, rather than if I had some sort of office or scenario that I knew like, you know, I'll get it first thing in the morning when I walk in.
I do that same thing and my girlfriend hates it. Like we'll be sitting down watching TV and then, you know, I'll get hit up to do a quick graphic. I'll go over to my desk and she's like, what are you doing? But kind of going back to the on-call thing, it's like, that's me this morning. I woke up to, you know, 3 people going, hey, can you do this for me? Hey, can you make changes to this flyer? And it's just like the work-life balance between, you know, since I work at home, I do feel more inclined just to like, all right, I'll go over to my desk real quick and I'll crank it out real quick. Mm-hmm. And like Cole was saying, if we had an office, it could just wait. But because we do work at home, we feel like we have to get to it like right away. I'll be in the back, you know, on weekends and stuff. I'll go out back. I put up my TV. It'll be 9 at night. And because my desk is so close, I'll just get up and I'll do it. I'll stop whatever I'm doing. And it's like, it's definitely not healthy, but it's just kind of the way I've set myself up.
Yeah.
What if you had an open and closed sign and then you just flipped it it was like on your monitor back there. And it just says closed at 5 o'clock, you're closed and you walk away. And then when you're inclined to go back over there and do something, you're reminded, oh yeah, wait a minute, I'm closed. I don't know, it's stupid, but I'm just thinking like, you got to do something.
No, definitely.
Because dude, like,
well, it's the same thing. You just need to set boundaries with yourself. You know, you need to be like,
totally. I do.
You know, I'm not doing this till 9 and I'm done at 5. If I get an email after 5, they're waiting till tomorrow.
Right. Another interesting thing too about is like, the difference of people's jobs and what that job entails. Like as a salesman, right? Like people are usually only going to pick up the call during 9 to 5. So if you're ever trying to hit someone up like after hours, you may not be getting as many calls or leads. But like for a designer, for example, like we need to plant like our butts in chairs like for as many hours a day as possible, because what we're creating, like it takes that physical like time to create and do and continue to like blah, 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 like make it. So if we feel like it takes another 2 hours after hours to make something better or look good or finish it or something, like we physically need to be in our chair creating it versus somebody who could do something or who's doing like a different part or a job or a day. If I'm making any sense of what I'm trying to say, right?
You're making your total sense. And if it's something you love doing, then
total sense.
If you don't mind sitting down for 2 hours and you enjoy it, and you're getting paid for it, well, I guess you're living the dream. So it's good, right? It's not so bad.
That's the other thing too, though. Yeah. Like in the grand scheme of things, if we could bust out a $500 graphic in 1 minute versus 1 hour, we would wish we could bust it out in the 1 minute, right? Because we're going to get paid that same amount, but it's just not our reality, unfortunately. And so it's kind of like, if we can optimize how fast we can do it and how good we can produce it, then that's the greatest thing we can do. And that really comes with experience. Like I know we both have 10 plus years of experience in our chairs doing what we do. So we are doing it a lot faster than like a beginning designer. We're probably doing it better. I'd like to think we're doing it better than a beginner designer as well. And that also is like, factored into our pricing, right?
Totally.
It's like that. It's like that meme or whatever of that. There's like a guy at a desk and there's a person handing him a design or whatever, and he's like, "Oh, that'll be $1,000." He was like, "What? You did that in 5 minutes?" It's like, yeah, right. I have 20 years of experience that you're paying that $1,000 for, not for the 5 minutes it took me to make it.
Exactly. It's the experience. It's the years, but it's also the tools. You know, I spent money on these tools to, you know, be able to crank out this graphic faster, this halftone kit, this brush kit. You know, I pay that much for Adobe, my Adobe products to be able to do this. I know, right? But I've bought my computer. So it's all of these things. They're all of my tools to be able to get this job done faster. Yeah, you can go to a designer who just got some shitty Mac or a shitty PC, who has a bootleg version of Adobe, who's going to do this job for, a lot cheaper and a lot slower rate, or you can hire us who has all these tools to be able to get the graphic done faster, cleaner, better in a short amount of time. It's like, I just did a logo job. I estimated this guy out a month. I got his logo job done in a week, and virtually he could have been like, well, hey, you said a month and I paid this much for a month. You got it done in a week. He didn't do this, but hypothetically speaking, if this guy would have been like, hey, I paid this much and you got it done in this amount of time, that should have been easy for you. It was like, no, it wasn't easy. I just have the know-how to have gotten the sketch, the concept work done. Yeah. I mapped out all your type. I made you 100 artboards of different versions of the logo. Don't complain about that shit.
I really want to know from your guys' perspective, Dylan and Andy, like if a designer gets you back a design in, let's literally call it an hour after you had asked for them to create it, do you think a certain way about the final design versus if they would have spent like a whole week, or if you don't really know what they spent on it, but if you got it back in a week time?
In all honesty, I don't care when the sooner the better on our end for sure. But like, if you tell me a time and it's within that time that we agreed on, that's fine. Mm-hmm. But if I asked you for a specific design, you got it back to me in 10 minutes and it was exactly what I asked for and it looks fucking awesome, I'm gonna be like, hell yeah, dude, you're in my top 4. Like, thank you. But if I give
you respect the time, like you would rather it quicker. And
I would rather it quicker if it's what I asked for. But there's times too where I ask a designer for something. I'm like, hey, I've got this customer who's a friend of mine. They're starting up this thing again. And, give me something. It sucks too, because like I don't know in my heart what I want it to look like because it's from a customer. Right. You know what I mean? A customer's just like, hey, I need this, like, I'm opening a marina and I have no logo, I have no graphics, no nothing. Just make me a cool shirt that has like this kind of fish on it and the name or whatever. I'm like, all right, well, I go to the designer. I'm like, hey, make me something cool that has like this fish and this name, put some flair into it. And then in 10 minutes, I get a design that's like Arial bold. And it says like something marina with a fucking clip art fish in the middle. Yeah. And it says established this year. I'm going to be like,
I hate that shit.
The very, very next thing I'm going to do is go to the next designer in line. I'm going to be like, hey, this person has this fish and they have this thing. And it's so like,
that actually leads into another question that I have. And me and Cam both run into this too, is, if we send a design to you guys before you send it to your client, will you make changes? Like, will you make changes as the middleman, or will you provide the client the work the designer gave first? If that's,
I give the customer the artwork as is, and then they give me the feedback and notes, and then I forward you that feedback and notes.
So you won't serve as like, we won't make changes for you, and then we make changes until you like it. Then you're
if it's something I can easily fix, like if they're like, hey, put it on this different background or whatever, I'll change it. But if it's something to the actual artwork itself, I usually have the designer do it, because that's one thing. I just don't want to step on your toes and be like,
yeah, definitely.
Hey, well, you'd be in our top 4 with that answer.
Right. I'm just saying, I don't want to take your artwork, something you're proud of that you made, and then have the customer be like, well, can you actually like curve this or do this a little differently? Yeah, totally. And I'm like, fuck, I could do that in Photoshop. Like, that's fine. And I change it, and then I send it to the customer, and then we print it with me changing something on your artwork. And you're like, what the fuck? That's not what I made. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't want to do that. I'd rather have you fix it, and then you be like, okay, you can showcase it on your Instagram and all this other stuff that you've done because you made that design. So
yeah, that's awesome to hear. Just sometimes what we deal with is like, if we work with an agent
secrets.
Sorry, I'll restart. But
can we take 5-minute pee break and then we'll come back with questions?
Yeah. I
gotta make a phone call.
Cole, I hope you charged your AirPods real quick while you were.
It's actually charging mine right now. I had to turn my I don't know if you noticed, Andy, but I was actually charging one at a time.
Did you? Okay. So,
dude, now
I saw you, dude. I picked up on that about maybe like 20 minutes ago and pocketed one while this one was still in my ear. I saw you, Cole.
Pro tip, Andy. It's all Andy. I appreciate that. Yeah.
So, Andy, did you see the shirt show graphics that I did?
Yeah. So I had no idea that was you.
Yeah, that was me. I put your AirPods in, if you didn't notice that.
Hold on a second. Where did it go?
I studied.
Yep. That's so sick. Yeah, I love the TV. So good.
Thanks, man. I had a lot of fun with it.
It's hard to decide. I can't even pick a favorite. They're all really great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man. Yeah, no problem. It was a lot of fun. I just kind of started sketching shit out on the plane. I went to Portland a few weeks ago, and I was just like, I've got fucking 2.5 hours on this flight. Like, just crank this shit out. And then when I came back, I just kind of vectored everything and it was a lot of fun.
So I'm out of the loop on this one. I was on vacation. What did Dylan contact you about this, or did you just give this to us? How did this work?
Yeah, Dylan contacted me about it.
Cool.
We're gonna make some. We're gonna do a little trade, make some hats for me and stuff like that. So he So
Andy, I'm taking one for the team for that sweet artwork. Sorry guys, I'm on hold with PayPal right now, so as soon as they get back to me, I'm good to go.
No worries. No worries. Whatchamacallit? Sorry if I blew the load on that one. If you were trying to keep it a secret, Dylan.
No, I'm fine. He's fine. I had no idea because we just have been out. Like today is the first time we've talked to each other in a while. I finally got a chance to.
Okay, gotcha.
Get away. I mean,
I'm just going to use all of those graphics for logos.
Hell yeah. Every single one of them.
It does suck though. A lot of stuff, like what we get, the question here that maybe would be similar is two things. One, if somebody calls up and asks for their screens, and that's why we don't charge screen charges, is we used to, like a lot of printers do. They charge a screen charge. And like, hey, by the way, can I come get my screens? And you're like, huh? So
yeah, exactly.
I mean, it doesn't work that way. And I don't know.
I've heard a few people do that too.
Yeah, we don't. So there's basically we quote the job, and it's a shirt cost, and there's no screen charges like additional or a la carte or whatever. We'll do an ink change or something like that, but there's not a screen charge for the reason because then people think they can just
come and grab a screen.
Yeah, or
you reuse and reburn screens, right? So like, let's say you do a batch of teas or whatever, you'll just go and wash it off and put a new graphic on the next day, right?
Right. So we reclaim our screens. And so, I mean, that's another misconception is that even if they don't want their screens and then we have to charge them resets, or like, I don't get it. Like I paid a screen charge the first time. So why are you charging me a reset? That doesn't make sense. And, I'm not saying that, I mean, and I get it from their point of view, it doesn't make sense. They don't understand why you wouldn't want to keep, all of your screens, sure. It doesn't make sense to them. And so just to simplify it, we just give them a price that includes everything. And you maybe do a little bit of the same thing, like when it comes to contract work, it's a little bit different because it's more a la carte, and added together, like we charge for flashes and all this kind of stuff, and it gets complicated.
Gotcha.
But one price is always easier. That's for sure.
Yeah. Do you guys get, or do you guys keep screens that from repeat customers that you think that you might have to do reorders for, just for like your own purposes, or is it like you treat every screen the same?
No, it's like the first thing. So I would say there's two reasons why we keep a screen. One is for a brand that reorders that design frequently. And by frequently, I mean within 30 days. I don't want to hang on to a screen for 2 months because they may order 2 months from now. That doesn't make sense. But if they're ordering every 30 days and it's a 4-color or a 5-color, then we rack, screens for about 3 brands, I think. And it makes sense because they go through their seasons and they'll come up with a new book and it's just totally different design. So it doesn't matter. And then we wash them out. Well, we can only do that so many times. I mean, after we set up something maybe 4 times or so and run enough shirts on it, you want to reclaim those screens and start again. And And the other reason, or the other thing we do is we don't reclaim a screen right when it comes off press or anything. We try to wait a week because, you know, you probably know the same thing since you're sourcing out a lot of shirt orders, is that reorders are common. You know, they order 142 shirts exactly for how many people there are, and then 5 more people join, or 2 of them, you know, are the wrong size and this kind of stuff. And so you need 7 or 8 or 10 more shirts or whatever. And you have those screens. Yeah. And if you have those screens, usually that happens within the first week. And so if you have those screens still, we can try to see them back up real fast, you know, like super fast.
It sounds like those are mostly e-commerce orders though, right? Like they will order those 142 shirts for their online brands. Is that right?
Oh, no, I mean, that happens, but I would say that most of the brands we work with order in even amounts, you know, and and when they run low on a size, then they reorder and they'll order again enough to get a quantity, you know, the breaks, the deals we've made with them anyway.
Yeah.
But what I was referring to is more of the customer that comes in and they're in charge of their whatever club and they want to, you know, get 142 shirts, and they don't think, and we warn them a lot of times, we're like, hey, look, put a buffer of 5 shirts in there, or 1 of extra every size or something.
Right.
And some people,
of course,
take the advice and they do it, and others say, I don't have it in the budget, I don't want to do it, you know?
Right.
I know that there's a couple of shops that go ahead and throw in an extra shirt, like just to do it. You know, they print 1 of every size in case something happens, and that seems kind of smart. But if we did that all the time, well, I don't know.
It adds up.
Yeah, that's up.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I work with a lot of brands, but when I do, you know, seasonal lines for, and they are an apparel shop that also sells their own personal merchandise, and they won't sell out of a good or out of a style for like a month, 2 months, maybe. So I'll always have to like reburn the screens with my print shop, because they'll never really know which one's going to be the best seller or the one that's going to work or not, you know, blah, blah, blah.
A young Canvas Cam didn't know that print etiquette was to not ask for screens. So I had this one guy say, well, we don't keep screens. And he basically told me to fuck off for asking. So I never asked again.
Well, I mean, that's what most customers are like. You know, most customers don't know that you don't keep the screens. They don't even know what a screen is. You know?
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Yeah. I asked for the screen because I was going to try to have a little operation in my backyard. And that was a no. This older guy who used to run, he doesn't own it. He ran that thing into the ground. But I walked into a shop one day and I was like, hey, just wondering if I can get that screen. And he basically said, get the fuck out.
For both printing and working with the designer, there are, you know, learning lessons throughout every step of the way that both a client and a designer learn. Like, I always say that every bad client is just another line in our proposals or in our agreements that we start to make longer and longer. And that's the truth, you know, like our things will never be as buttoned up as we want it to be. There will always be a new scenario that you work with that is something that we didn't encounter before or, you know, originally think would ever kind of happen. Like, I know we talked about the usage of logo and t-shirt designs, but you know, maybe one day some place just starts blowing up a design that we said specifically that they couldn't use for that. And and then we try to protect ourselves more in the future. How do you guys work with minimum orders per product? Do you guys have like, are you guys going to take on only small orders, big orders?
I was just about to ask that.
Our minimum's 12 per design, but the design matters. Like if it's like a 6-color print, I'm not doing 12 shirts.
Yeah.
You know, we say like 50 minimum for 6-color, and then anything over like 8 colors, you have to get at least like 100 to 200 of. And we do up to like a 14-color print. So it just depends. Like if you're a serious person and you're like, oh, I need this 14-color print done. It's like, well, order more than 12 jackass.
Yeah.
Pretty much if you're doing 14 colors, you're doing something wrong, I think. I mean, there's really rare instances where you need to do 14 colors. And plus, if you're doing 14 colors and you have a 14 color press, you can't flash anything. And so it's pretty rare. We have a minimum, which is similar to Dylan's. It's 10. I sometimes think we should raise it. I think 10 is too low. But there's a print shop I used to go to in LA. Their minimum was 40. And that's kind of like the minimum that I've always heard of is 40. Yeah.
Mostly too, because if we're me and Cam, for example, designers, I don't know if Cam does this too, but if I'm offering the printing within a design or, to do that sort of thing, then I want to mark up whatever the print shop pricing they give me. And I never want it to be astronomical because I'm not going to mark up $10 a tee. That's going to be pretty obvious. But I don't know how you guys work. Also, if a $10 minimum is the same price as a 40, typically they scale divided by the amount of shirts right. So if I don't order at least 40 of the shirts, then if I do a $1 markup on a $40 shirt run, for example, it'd be $40, which isn't necessarily worth it for me. But if you do 10 of those designs too, and you're only marking up $1 shirt, then you're only making $10. So it's got to be reasonable and some sort of minimum order quantity.
So you're saying you mark up the design for how many shirts they're making? No.
So I'll have my design fee. But then let's say they want 40 tees, right? Then I'll try to mark up $3 or $4 or something. So at least I'm making a little bit of money off of the printing that makes sense for me. Right.
Okay.
But
so you're taking artwork from not artwork, but say a customer comes to you and gets design work done, you're referring them to printing too, and you're marking that up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
But
we have a couple people that do that with us. And I have one guy that I've worked with for 14, 15 years now that he does that with us daily. He's one of our biggest customers, but that's all he does is he just says that he does artwork and he sells shirts, but the shirt sales is his biggest thing. He's one of our biggest salespeople really.
Damn.
All he does is he just marks it up. We give him discounted rates on things because he does so much work. And then he just adds whatever he adds, 50 cents a dollar or whatever to every item. And then he'll charge them and then he keeps the money. And then the whole transaction goes through him. We just blind ship it.
That's exactly right. Yep. And so I've been able to bring, tons of business to my print shop that way. And that's why they give me a discounted rate. We've had a great relationship. We've done it for over 10. No, 10 is too long.
Let me
7 years.
Take note.
So Cam, what you need to do is you need to call me after this. And we'll set up that relationship.
Well, we want to start getting some
100%.
we're going to want to start doing some Pentool Pals product soon here, so I don't know if you guys are interested or whatnot, but I'm sure we can do some sort of
and Cole, you'll be better off with us than you will with your guy you've worked with for years. So again, give me a call after this.
If you're down for it, I'm
Andy. If it's something I don't feel like printing, I'll send it over to you. You can do it.
Just throw me a bone. Thanks, Dylan.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to get into
cut out a little bit, but I got the gist of it. If you if you ever need designs that go outside of your top four, I'm sure we can make something work.
I'm always down. I'm always looking for new people to bring stuff in because the truth of it is we have so many reoccurring clients that I don't want them to be. I want to diversify it a little bit.
Yeah,
I mean, I could send stuff to Zach all day long, but my top four is 2 Zachs. So I have Shuda and Newton.
I thought that your design looked familiar.
And then the thing is that I could send a client to them so many times, but you can tell exactly who it's from because they have 2 specific styles.
Yeah.
So like I said, sometimes brands come to me and they're like, well, we've been doing this for 10 years. We want to do something different. And it's all right, well, let's find somebody else that, will do something a little different for you. So I'm
so
always
opposite,
down.
do you guys mark up a design fee, or do you just include that in the price of the tees?
I mark it up a little bit, but it's not much at all. So if you came to me and you're like, all right, I'll do this graphic for $300, I'm going to tell the customer it's like $325. Like realistically,
really?
I'm only marking up like a little bit just for the time of the emailing it back and forth.
Yeah,
of course.
I
I'm not going to be like, oh, it's a $300 design. It's actually $500 and I'll make $200 on it. I would rather most of the money go to you and me to just get like a little transactional thing.
That's interesting. Yeah. The only reason why I asked, because backwards, I'm now taking liability for the quality of the product. And if there's misprints, and also if I like mistype or misspell or whatever, then I send off 1,000 units to somebody and they don't like it and we need a reprint and it's my fault.
It's on you.
It's on me. And that sucks.
Yep.
I've been in that position, too many times to almost where I like feel like it's almost not even worth it to print product, because of that liability. And, it does happen, but as long as the work is consistent, then you're going to make more money than you're going to lose money, but making sure that you're making people happy and keeping them in the loop is so key.
Yeah,
for sure. So Cole, when you do an order for somebody, you design it, you get it printed. Do you take one of them? Do you take a shirt?
Never. I don't even see it.
Extra?
I don't even see it.
You don't even see it. Okay,
it goes right from the printer to the customer.
Okay, I gotcha. Now, do you guys, if you print something you really like, say like, something that you've contracted a designer for, and you really like that, do you make one for yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we take them and sell them. Lots of them.
Yeah, there you
go.
We did an order a while ago for Charles Lippincott, which is the original marketer for the original Star Wars movie. He had like the original Star Wars design that never got printed. It was like this triangle with like the dude with the lightsaber and stuff. And he told me as a disclaimer, he's like, do not print any extras. I do not want to see these on eBay. Like they're specifically for cast and crew of the original movie. Like that's what he ordered them for. Yeah. And I was like honored to print them. And it was like awesome to do. And the funny thing is like we got chatting back and forth, like just bullshitting with each other, like throughout the transaction. And at the end, he's like, go ahead and make yourself like an extra like 15. So I have a box out in the shop up on a shelf that just says Star Wars on it. And I'm leaving them there for like 20 years. Good. So that one day I'm going to open them up and be like, hey, this is money in this box right here.
Yeah.
It is. I didn't know printers did that until my buddy, I had a long relationship with this guy, a working relationship with this guy. And he FaceTimed me one day and he was wearing one of my shirts. And I was just like, hey, he was like, oh yeah, I made one for myself. And I was super stoked. It's like kind of an honor.
It's a pat on the back for sure. If they're willing, they want to make an extra to wear personally.
Yeah.
The scary thing, like you said, Dylan, the scary part is if they print an extra 50 and start selling them on eBay, because then they're basically screwing anyone who's coming into the office or into your shop and trusting you to do the order. Meanwhile,
but Dylan's smart. Dylan's smart. He's waiting like 20 years for when the guy is dead. Yeah,
I think this is actually pretty common problem in the shops that a lot of people who work here in production they'll want one of the shirts, and so some shops say cool, print them, go for it, and then that person's wearing it around town and maybe they shouldn't be, and so we actually ran into that years ago, and so we changed our policy to be, no, we don't print any extra shirts ever. And to circumvent like what a bummer that is, because, you work at a print shop and you want to, wear some of the shirts that we print, is that, well, one, you have a discount code for some of our brands. If you ever want to wear their stuff, there's a discount code so they can go in and get it for less. And then two, which is what we should be doing, but we don't because we're too busy, is print our own shop shirts. And we're just, we always say we're going to do it, and we always have an idea like every week, but we just get too busy and we don't.
It's one of my favorite things to do, and I do it a lot, is always go to designers and be like, make me something rad for the shop. Like literally while we were talking, Ramon Sketch sent me a new Upstate shirt that I just bought off of him. I don't know if you'll be able to see this at all. It's like all chrome.
He does such sick stuff.
But I love it came out really, really rad, and I want to print it. But that's the thing. Dope. That's the thing, though, too. Like, I get Andy saying he doesn't have time because it does suck to like find time to do it. But me as an owner, I just put it on the schedule as like an item. I'm like, this is a job we got to do. Print it, and then they print it. And then the thing is, for us, is if I can put rad art on a shirt, and then I give them away. Like, I don't charge people for them. I have an online store for them if somebody wants to buy one that I don't know and they just buy it, which happens often. But like if somebody comes in here and I give them a shirt, they're going to wear it around. For me, it's like, they're like, oh, you're giving me a free shirt. I'm like, yeah, but they want to wear it because it looks awesome. You know what I mean? It's not just like a 100%. Basic shitty shirt. I just give them away. So it's just sweet advertising for us. And then we also get to show off print skills too. It's like, all right, we printed this a certain way. They're like, oh, I love how soft the shirt is. It's like one of my favorite shirts. It's like, all right, cool.
That's the biggest compliment I've always gotten on shirts. Cause I've always, from the beginning, I've always really admired like the garment feel of a shirt. And so like when I started making shirts, cause Canvas Design Company was a clothing brand called Canvas Wear at the beginning. And so it's like from when I started making shirts, I always used like, Bella Canvas 3001. And I've used that from the beginning, but that's the biggest compliment you can get on a shirt is how comfy it is. And it slowly becomes their favorite shirt,
Exactly.
How shitty has it been getting inventory right now?
We don't even want to talk about it.
Can get a Bella Canvas anything if I wanted.
Do you guys have any questions for us? We can do a couple of those. I mean, you did ask us questions throughout the whole thing, so that kind of counts. We just usually have a segment of like you ask us a couple questions and then we do quick takes. But I feel like you guys have asked us questions throughout the show because you're podcasters and we're podcasters. So I think we can go ahead and cancel this part out.
Yeah, let's just go to what if we just did art hacks, because that'd be pretty cool, right? I mean, everybody could use an art hack, and then just do our quick takes. We have time for that. Yeah. All right. So art hacks. Do you have any art hacks? I know when Cole starts giving his away, he's going to freeze up and his Zoom will cancel. But Cam, how about you? You want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. Art hacks. I start on my iPad. Makes it 10 times easier. I'll just start drawing from one layer, create another layer, draw on top of that, turn on the opacity, and it creates like a better sketching process. And then I just bump it over to my Illustrator or bump it over to my computer. And then what I'll do is I'll use AstroPad. And from AstroPad, it's like I'm still drawing on my iPad, but it's mirroring my computer so I can draw and vector everything on top of it. There's easier iPad programs, but if you want to still use Adobe Illustrator to vector everything, but still have like a Procreate feel, that's the easiest part. So it's just you're kind of drawing in those layers and vectoring everything. So AstroPad, that's my art hack.
All right. Cole, how about you? Same thing? Do you use AstroPad?
I don't use AstroPad. Yeah, it's funny. There are art hacks, but really when it comes to art hacking, it's how to use Illustrator. Because there's, anyone uses Illustrator, it's like you can do the same thing 1,000 different ways.
For sure.
So it's really figuring out how to use the right tools to help make your process both faster and better. So the end result's better. But the reality of the fact is that the only hack is going to be just sitting in a chair for 10 years and for 20 years, getting your hair to gray and your fingers to have carpal tunnel. And then one day you 100%. Might be a better artist than you were yesterday. For a while, I was doing some reels on my Instagram that kind of like are quick tips on like how to use some of the tools in Illustrator. So if you're interested in any of that, I would check out some of those that some people aren't necessarily, may not use on a daily basis. Or if you're a beginning designer, you might have never heard of, like the width tool or,
that's a great tool.
Some other, some random shit, Pathfinder. I don't know.
Yeah. Learn quick keys. That's a good
quick
one.
Keys.
Yeah. There's once you get into the groove of things, your fingers will start automatically doing some weird shit on your keyboard. I can export out a graphic in 3 seconds just by bam. Never even have to touch the mouse.
I guess the biggest art hack of them all too is like make good art and post it on your Instagram, make friends with print shops, be good to your clients, be open and communicative with everybody. Those are the biggest art hacks. Be nice to people. Don't take shit too. Learn red flags when clients are giving you a hard time. The vetting process is key. Color optimize your print products. Get test samples so that you know that your print's going to look different than your digital. How are these?
Those are really good. Yeah, those are great.
I feel like
a
mine
designer
wasn't
here.
as sufficient now.
Well, I know those are really good, and yours were too. There's a designer here that doesn't use a mouse. Like they're so used to, how you said you use Procreate, and I don't know if AstroPad's the same way, but it's like uses a pen tool. And he's so used to like using that tool that he just abandoned completely the mouse, and he just uses that for everything. Like even when he's navigating around.
That's crazy.
His desktop and everything.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine doing that, but Cole, he doesn't use a mouse either. He uses a trackpad for everything.
Yeah. I gotta get a
Brian here, who our designer, he does the same thing. He uses the pad for his mouse.
That's crazy to me. Like I've been doing design so long, and Cole, maybe you can you can relate to this, but it's like Illustrator, and it's like my mouse is an extension of my hand. And so like when I'm building stuff in Illustrator and say that there's a little bit of lag on the computer, I feel like my hand isn't moving with the mouse. And so it's like I get stuck. I'm weird, I know, but
the reality of the thing is that like I'm spending most of my life on Illustrator. Like this is what we do for so much of our day that it's like practice makes perfect. The more you're in or doing anything, then you're just going to get better at it and learn how to use things, do things faster. And with social media too, like everyone's always giving away tips or tricks or, figuring out ways they could do things. And now like Instagram's kind of favoriting videos. And so more people are doing process videos or, YouTube's like podcasts like these, so you can learn more. So I just feel like as a whole, people are basically figuring out more shit than they haven't really had that access to when, back when.
Yeah. My wife is doing exactly that right now. So she has a BFA and she's a painter, and she has never had an iPad and decided to finally do it. And so she got an iPad and is in Procreate, and these guys gave her like a quick lesson on what to do and how to get started. And then it's kind of what you said. Then it's just laying there or sitting there or being in the car or doing whatever and just doing it, getting in there and drawing in it, because that practice is key. And that's what she says. Even like sometimes she's just doodling around and she said, it doesn't matter because I'm just playing, I'm just figuring out what different brushes are doing and all that kind of stuff. And so,
my very first time starting Illustrator and creating, and probably a whole year's worth of learning the program, I didn't know that there was even a type tool. So what I was doing was literally drawing my letters, every single one of them, to create words. And you can only imagine how long that would take. So like, I would think it's normal to spend like days on a design. Meanwhile, the same thing I can create, the day I started today, I could probably do it, 20 times faster and 20 times better,
Dude, you just reminded me, because I have a totally relatable kind of MacGuffin, if you will, how you would draw out all the type and stuff. I have my own. I used to build logos and then put them over into Photoshop and exporting them out from Photoshop, because I didn't realize that the artboard that you're building it in, you can export from there.
Yeah.
So I would drop it into Photoshop. I'd make all my JPEGs one after another, and then I'd delete the background, export out the PNGs one after another. And then one day I was just like, this has got to be easier. And then I realized each artboard in Illustrator were meant to do that very same thing in seconds. So it's just, you live and you learn, man.
You learn.
And it was a beginning Illustrator mishap.
Yeah, there's so much to know that, no matter how long we've been doing it, we still don't know. I wouldn't even say I know half.
Yeah, no, same. I'm still
Dylan,
learning shit every day.
I've been carrying this like usual. So if you need to go, or if you're finished up, let me know.
I'm good. I'm good. I need to call the bank, and I'm not going to do that. I just tried and they fucking hung up on me. So sorry guys, if I've been out of it a little bit. It's in the middle of the workday, and I'm trying to put in a massive thing. So
I've gone for the first 30 minutes of this thing. It's okay.
Talking to, the print shop versus designers, this is, it's a good duo of ideas or past.
Yeah. Well, the thing is we get, a lot of feedback on the show, and, we interview a lot of print shops and stuff, but I also want to talk to people that are part of the industry that aren't necessarily other printers. Like designers are a massive part of the industry. I'd like to talk to more designers, just because you guys are making us look good, basically.
Well, same way backwards for us, because Pentool Pals is really all about giving that insight on all types of what to do as a freelance designer or a regular designer. And a lot of people would have no idea what type of file to send to a print shop and what to use. So we'd love to have you guys reverse on our show. I know we talked about it a little bit, and and talk a little bit more in depth about what a tech pack looks like, and how to size it up for a client, or what colors are optimized, or using Pantone, blah blah, that kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Because most of our audience are beginner designers, and I would say most of our audience. There are some, very skilled designers that follow us too. But I guarantee you, a lot of our audience would just soak up your guys' information like a sponge, and because they don't know how to make things for print. So we need to get you guys on the show.
Yeah, for sure. So Andy, you want to start off some quick takes?
Sure. First one is I usually botch our dad jokes, and then
anything he has to read.
Reading's hard. All right. So what's one thing you need every morning?
Coffee.
Can't tell if he's frozen or just really thinking hard.
Probably both.
Yeah, he's 100% frozen.
Shit.
I don't know. I used to drink coffee. I don't anymore. I don't really need anything in the morning. I need a good sleep.
I need coffee.
So just more sleep then.
Yeah. It usually takes me a lot to get out of bed, but I don't know.
I sleep too much. I sleep like a bear.
A good client conversation. I swear, whenever I get a bad interaction, right off in the morning, my day is
screwed. Yeah.
Yeah. It's always brought into the rest of my day.
You need the motivation first thing in the morning.
I need good news in the morning. How's that?
Yeah, that's a good one. Best recent read, listen, or watch.
Read, listen, or watch. I read it recently. I've had the book before, but John Contino, Brand by Hand. It's the last design book that I read. It's basically his story coming up as a designer in New York and stuff like that. But it's really good.
Yeah, don't want to be a broken record, but I would say the all Lincoln chop ups, they've really been super inspiring.
Sure.
That's good. Yeah, I like that stuff just because I like the kind of work that they put out, and I like to educate myself as much as I can, and I really like their videos.
Yeah, the videos are really good. We have a little bumper at the end of our 20th episode that was made specifically for Lincoln. I don't think they've seen it yet, but maybe they will after this, because this is the first time we talked about it.
Yeah. Andy?
What is my best recent read? Listen and watch. Yeah. My best recent read is Chasing Daylight. It's on our book club, and I finished it while on vacation, and it was heavy duty, man. That book is really fantastic. So I recommend it, and Dylan will read it eventually, probably, or listen to it, not read it, hopefully, because that is the right thing to do. He's got a few days left to do that.
Yeah.
Next question.
Yeah, next question is on you.
So what advice would you give your younger self?
I don't know. I would say don't work for somebody else.
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
I swear, like in my beginner days, it was always if I wanted to go work for an agency or work for like an apparel brand, and I could have done that route, but I just feel like the second you learn that you can just do it by yourself, and I don't want to give false hope either, because I do think that there's a lot of learning lessons you learn from an agency that I probably wouldn't have gotten to where I am now without some of that experience. But the second you understand how to kind of do things is the time that you should step away and try to grow as your own person / designer / boss.
100%.
Yeah, that's good.
For me, I would say if I could go back to my 18-year-old self, I'd be like, listen more, research more. When I didn't start learning about the design industry until about maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And from there on, like, I had spent so much time just trying to push out art and push out merch, and I didn't know the industry at all, with it being clothing brands or design companies and stuff. And there's so much to learn when you study and you get to know these like big companies like Lincoln or Invisible Creature. When you learn from them and you network properly, I would say I'm a better designer today because I've been able to study and look at what they're doing, not copy, but, learn from them. And
you get inspiration.
But also you take inspiration, and, but also not be too hard on myself when something doesn't look like somebody else's. Like I've said this on a podcast on Pentool Pals plenty of times, but I spent so much time comparing myself to Dave Quiggle, and the day I realized I'd never be Dave Quiggle is the
Dude,
day
he's one
that
of
I
my
started.
favorites.
Me too. And, it was one of those things where I'm never going to be him. And then from there on, I just started getting better because I started crafting like my own style and the way I do things.
I have Dave Quiggle on my arm.
Oh, no shit.
I have one of his eagles. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I have a whole wall dedicated to him, like right here. I'll just flip around and show you. I think right there.
The series is, yeah.
So yeah, some of his Halloween prints and shit like that. But yeah, I just kind of go back and say, stop comparing yourself to other designers. And because that's the biggest hindrance for any artist is when you compare, you got to find who you are. And, I could have been where I am right now a few years ago if I would have stopped comparing myself, because it drags you down.
Yeah.
And last week's lottery ticket numbers are 14, 7, 8, 29, 32, 41.
Definitely that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you guys be doing if you weren't designers?
I knew at such an early age I was going to be a designer.
Making coffee?
Mm-hmm.
Like a barista?
Yeah. I was a barista for about 4 years before I started taking designing seriously. I've been an artist my whole life, and my dad wanted me to get into graphic design at a young age. So the first time I ever touched like the pen tool was like, I think 12 years old or something. But I didn't know I wanted to do that full time until, I was out of high school, going to college and stuff. I didn't even know that this is what I was going to be doing when I started doing graphic design, like building logos and branding and stuff like that. But, I'd most likely I'd be a barista.
Cole, you're just being like, nope, designer. That's all I'm doing.
Yep.
I don't know what it was. I swear when I was in preschool, my preschool teacher told my parents that like my finger paintings were like really good.
Spot
like
on, yeah.
They literally were like, this kid like did a better circle than like I've ever seen. And I really believe, and I'm not trying to, tap myself on the shoulder for being a good finger painter, even though I probably was pretty good, but
I've never heard anybody brag about being a good finger painter.
I just really think
honestly say that.
I think that's because they told my parents that I was good at that. My parents were always like telling me that I can do art. So I feel like without that, that like led me the whole time just to like do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I just never thought that I was going to make money doing it. I never thought that I was going to be able to make a living doing it.
Well, someday you'll get there.
Yeah. And that's so rad that your parents, recognize that and actually push you towards it, because a lot of parents would say, no, art's not what's happening here. And
for sure
this or that, but they actually supported it. That's pretty rad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My dad was in
my dad was a sign painter. Oh,
whose dad's better? Let's fight on whose dad's better.
Well, his dad.
My dad can kick your dad's ass.
My dad actually works within a print shop, so that's why
you win.
No, that's I started doing apparel graphics super young, and I worked within a print shop super young. So that's how the things had always been. Snowballing, and it just wasn't because I wanted to be I wanted to be a cartoonist. I wanted to like work at like Disney and draw people.
Yeah, my dad was a sign painter, and he got me into art at a really young age too. I have a story. My dad told me that I walked around the neighborhood with sticker, like, the sticker packs you'd put, Cole, you were frozen in a really funny position. Like, the sticker packs that you go like pizza place in, and you put a quarter and it'll pump out a sticker, but the cardboard is encasing it. I would take the sticker, throw it away, which is dumb because I collect stickers now. But I would draw on these cardboard pieces. I'd walk around the neighborhood selling them for 50 cents. I'd come back with like 10 to 20 bucks at a time. And then that's when my dad was like, this is what you're going to do with your life. And so him being a sign painter, and, he also painted like windows for the holidays. And he was a cartoonist in a sense, because he would just paint all these characters all the time. But at an early age, he was saying like, this is what you're going to do. I know it. But he pushed me into graphic design, and then me doing it in high school. I saw his career kind of failing, and I was like, I want nothing to do with that. Right. And so I did design in high school, and I was just kind of like, okay at it, better than most. But then, better than most kids in the class because they didn't want to. No. But then after I graduated, that's when I actually realized like this is what I wanted to do. But yeah, those dads, they're influential.
Dads.
Those damn dads.
Damn dads. Let's see. Andy, is it you or me?
You go next, and I'll get the last one.
Okay. What's your favorite thing to cook?
Ooh.
I have like the worst response. I don't cook.
I love to cook, so this is a good one. So I'll make like a little Thai dish. My mom, so now we're talking about moms. My mom was from Singapore, so I got a bunch of cultural cooking skills from her. And so I'll make like these different like Thai dishes. I try to mimic like the pad ki mao, which is a drunken noodle. I'll try to do that. I make this little like chicken stir fry with house and sauce and different like chilies and stuff like that. So I would say
like I make cereal.
Yeah.
I like to cook up good ideas.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Ooh.
Okay.
All right.
Andy, finish her off.
What is for dinner tonight?
That's a good question. Chicken.
Just plain boiled chicken. Good job.
No, I'll probably barbecue it tonight.
Just a chicken breast in hot water.
Yeah.
That's actually how, I mean, that is how Dylan would eat it. I mean, he doesn't do the no sauce.
No seasoning, no salt and pepper, just boiled chicken.
I'm going to get the whole chicken skin when they're boiling water, and then I'm going to have no shirt. I'm just going to drop it in and let it splash on me.
You can make a calendar out of that.
Maybe that's the next
that's a
thing
good
we
idea.
sell. That's the first thing we sell at Pentool Pals.
Just boiled chicken water. Gross.
No, just like a calendar shoot of me and Cam posing, but we'll like Photoshop like really cool backgrounds on everything. So that's what will be like the design reference.
I like it.
Yeah. We'll need to get you guys in February, or maybe we can give you August or something.
Okay, cool. Yep. Thanks.
Yeah.
Cole, what are you having for dinner?
I got my little brother is going to college for his senior year next week. So we're going like and celebrating at the restaurant.
Anything good?
I think we're going all out tonight. I think it's like, some sort of steak dinners or something.
Nice.
Denny's, like Denny's has.
Denny's.
Yeah, try their steak. It's not bad.
It'll clean
like
you
Red
out.
Lobster or like Olive Garden, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Go to Denny's.
Can I change my answer to I'm going to get ramen tonight?
No, you're stuck with boiled chicken.
Boiled chicken,
Well, thanks for doing this with us, guys, especially in the middle of the day on a Tuesday. And sorry for the recording issues and the cutouts and me on the phone.
No, we should be sorry for you guys.
Difficulties.
Yeah. You should feel sorry for us.
No, well, I mean, like we know how it goes when you have a podcast and then there's things that go wrong. It's just more editing.
Yeah,
that's all right. It's all right. We're not doing it.
Right?
It's for Cam at least.
Not on us.
Yeah. Well, you guys are lucky because I do all the editing for my podcast.
Real quick before we get off of here, tell people about your podcast, why they should check it out. Cam, you can say it because Cole's going to cut out as soon as he gets to the good stuff.
For sure. So we do a podcast called Pentool Pals. It's a graphic design podcast where we just kind of shoot the shit for about an hour with other designers. We will talk amongst ourselves for a few episodes, and we just kind of try to build a friendly community of graphic designers to kind of learn from others' experience. And it's a good time. And Cole and I we started it like we said in the beginning of this thing, based off of having a mutual nightmare client, and it has turned into this growing thing in the design world that is getting us noticed by people like Aaron Draplin, who agreed to come onto the podcast, and Francisco from Nevermade and all that stuff. So Pentool Pals on YouTube, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify,
Instagram,
and we have an Instagram. But
sweet,
Cole.
Yeah, no, you summed it up pretty well. We just we give away the best secrets of how to make millions of dollars doing graphic design, and
right.
If you too want to make millions of dollars doing graphic design, you can go follow Pentool Pals.
Yep.
Sweet. Well, thanks guys for coming on with us. We really appreciate it, and let us know when you want us to do yours.
Yeah, I'll shoot you an email here pretty soon, and we'll get the ball rolling on scheduling that.
Sweet.
Yeah. No, we're stoked to be on the show, and we appreciate you guys having us on, and thank you guys for being a pal.
We're all gonna wait. Let's wait this out.
Yeah, let's wait it out.